as you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take full credit. His party was losing by a lot, and he ended up winning. So I really want to congratulate him. It was probably one of the greatest comebacks in the history of politics, maybe even greater than mine. You know? But I want to just congratulate you. That was a great election, actually. We were watching it with interest, and I think Canada chose a very talented person, a very good person, because we spoke before the election quite a few times. And it's an honor to have you at the White House and the Oval Office. And you see the new and improved Oval Office as it becomes more and more beautiful with love. You know, we handle it with great love and 24-karat gold. That always helps too, right? But it's been a lot of fun. We're going over some of the beautiful pictures that were stored in the vaults that were for many, many years, in some cases over 100 years. They were stored in vaults of the great presidents, or almost great presidents, all having a reason for being up, every one of them. So it's very interesting. But I just want to congratulate you, and ran a really great race. I watched the debate. I thought you were excellent, and I think we have a lot of things in common. We have some tough points to go over, and that'll be fine. We're going to also be discussing Ukraine, Russia, the war, because Mark wants it ended as quickly as I do. I think it has to end. We had some very good news last night. The Houthis have announced that they are not, or they've announced to us at least, that they don't want to fight anymore. They just don't want to fight. And we will honor that. And we will stop the bombings. And they have capitulated, but more importantly, we will take their word. They say they will not be blowing up ships anymore. And that's what the purpose of what we were doing. So that's just news. We just found out about that. So I think that's very, very positive. They were knocking out a lot of ships going, as you know, sailing beautifully down the various seas. It wasn't just the canal. It was a lot of other places. And I will accept their word, and we are going to stop the bombing of the Houthis. Effective immediately, and Marco, you'll let everybody know that, okay? Do you have something to say about that, by the way? It's a pretty big announcement.
Yeah, this was always a freedom of navigation mission. These are, a band of individuals with advanced weaponry that were threatening global shipping, and the job was to get that to stop. And if it's going to stop, then we can stop. And so I think it's an important development.
And we'll have maybe before we're going to, as you know, the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. We're going to UAE and Qatar, and that'll be, I guess, Monday night. Some of you are coming with us. I think before then we're going to have a very, very big announcement to make, like as big as it gets. Oh. And I won't tell you on what, but it's going to, and it's very positive. I'd tell you if it was negative or positive. I can't keep that out. It is really, really positive. And that announcement will be made either Thursday or Friday or Monday before we leave. But it'll be one of the most important announcements that have been made in many years about a certain subject, very important subject. So you'll all be here. Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually, for the big announcement. But thank you for your hospitality and above all for your leadership. You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker. Securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit to transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl. Much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation.
Landscape for this.
Welcome to the stream, y'all. Appreciate y'all tapping in today.
Anybody?
Is USMCA dead?
No, it was actually very effective, and it's still very effective. But people have to follow it. So, that's been a problem. People haven't followed it. But it was a transitional step a little bit. And as you know, it terminates fairly shortly. It gets renegotiated very shortly. But I thought it was a very positive step from NAFTA. NAFTA was the worst trade deal in the history of our country, probably in the history of the world. And this was a transitional deal, and we'll see what happens. We're going to be starting to possibly renegotiate that if it's even necessary. I don't know that it's necessary anymore, but it served a very good purpose. And the biggest purpose it served is we got rid of NAFTA. NAFTA was a very unfair deal for the United States. Very, very terrible deal. It should have never been made. It was made many years ago, but it should have never been made.
Canada and the United States, would you like to see your first trade deal be with Canada? Our neighbors in the world?
I would love that. Look, I have a lot of respect for this man, and I watched him come up in a sense through the ranks when he wasn't given much of a chance, and he ran a really great campaign. He did a really great debate. I think that debate was very helpful. I was going to raise my hand. I don't know if that's good or bad. I shouldn't say that. That might hurt you. But no, he ran a really great election, I thought. And yeah, something could happen. Something could happen. Yeah, please.
What's the top concession you want out of Canada? The top concession you want out of Canada?
Concession?
Yes,
Friendship.
but that's not a concession.
No, we're going to be friends with Canada. Regardless of anything, we're going to be friends with Canada. Canada is a very special place to me. I know so many people that live in Canada. My parents had relatives that lived in Canada, my mother in particular. And no, I love Canada. I have a lot of respect for the Canadians. Wayne Gretzky, I mean, how good, the great one. You happen to have a very, very good hockey player right here on the Capitals, who I have a lot of respect. He is a big, tough cookie, too. Just broke the record. And he's a great guy. And, we had the team here, and I got to know a lot of the players. But now, Canada is a very special place. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, and Mr. Prime Minister, I'd like to get your response to this too. But Mr. President, you have said that Canada should become the 51st state.
Yeah. No. Well, I still believe that, but it takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said that's the way it was meant to be. But I do feel it's much better for Canada, but we're not going to be discussing that unless somebody wants to discuss it. I think that there are tremendous benefits to the Canadian citizens, tremendously lower taxes, free military, which honestly we give you essentially anyway because we're protecting Canada if you ever had a problem. But I think it would really be a wonderful marriage because it's two places that get along very well. They like each other a lot.
Appreciate everybody tapping in.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
Wouldn't it be cool
Oh,
if
they hit
on
me
the
with a
website
commercial,
felt
y'all. I
like
need to pay
walking
for
your
YouTube.
favorite
My
Disney
bad,
tour?
chat.
With Framer?
Yep.
It's not for sale, won't be for sale ever. But the opportunity is in the partnership and what we can build together. We have done that in the past. And part of that, as the President just said, is with respect to our own security. And my government is committed for a step change in our investment in Canadian security and our partnership. And I'll say this as well, that the President has revitalized international security, revitalized NATO, and us playing our full weight in NATO, and that will be part of it.
That's true. And they have, I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low, and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
What?
Mr. President, you're saying that what would it take to get the tariffs off of Canada?
Well, we'll be talking about different things. Like, we want to protect our automobile business, and so does Mark. But we want to make the automobiles, and we want to, we have a tremendous abundance of energy, more than any country. We have, just in Alaska alone, Anwar has been reopened now. Anwar is probably the largest find anywhere in the world. They say it's larger than Saudi Arabia. I don't know, but it's a lot. But we have tremendous amounts of energy. Other countries don't. We're both lucky in that way. They have energy. We have energy. We have more than we can ever use and more than we could ever sell, actually, and you have the same thing. So we're two countries that are very lucky. If you look at China, they don't have that. It's a big disadvantage. Other countries, most countries don't have. Most countries don't have that. So Canada and us, we have a lot of advantages over other places.
When you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No, not at all. No, not at all. No, time will tell. It's only time. But I say never. I've had many, many things that were not doable, and they ended up being doable, and only doable in a very friendly way. But if it's to everybody's benefit, Canada loves us, and we love Canada. That's, I think, the number one thing that's important. But we'll see. I mean, over time, we'll see what happens.
Mr. President,
China.
I was hoping you can clarify something. Earlier this morning in Capitol Hill, Secretary Bessent said that there have been no negotiations yet with China. You have said something.
Can I hear these questions?
They want to meet, and they're doing no business right now. And those ships are turning around in the Pacific Ocean. Big turn. Those are big ships. Those ships take about 10 miles to turn. And, we lost $1 trillion to China on trade because of an incompetent president that we had who preceded me, grossly incompetent. You're finding it out more and more now. And by not trading, we're losing nothing. So we're saving $1 trillion. It's a lot. But they want to negotiate, and they want to have a meeting, and we'll be meeting with them at the right time.
But you haven't met with them yet.
I have not met with them, of course. You would know if I met. I'd tell you. They want to meet, but, we are right now. Look, they're suffering greatly. Their economy is suffering greatly because they're not doing trade with the U.S. And they made most of their money off the U.S. Don't kid yourself. They don't make the money off other countries like this. And we had a trade imbalance. We had a deficit, or they had a surplus, another way of saying it, of more than $1 trillion. Think of it, more than $1 trillion. And because of 145%, that's the only reason, but because of they have now 145% tariff. There's no trading. You can't trade with 145%. We are, therefore, making, in a certain way, I guess, $1.1 trillion. In other words, we're not losing $1.1 trillion. Our deficit is much better. When I started, I say we were losing billions of dollars a day on trade. That's rapidly turning around. We looked at numbers this morning. So we were losing, the United States during Biden was losing more than, I won't even give you numbers because they're so embarrassing, but billions of dollars a day on trade. Those numbers are rapidly turning between the tariffs. Don't forget, we're now getting 25% on cars, 25% on aluminum, 25% on steel, and maybe more importantly, massive numbers of companies are moving into the United States. Honda, we have tremendous, the car companies are moving in at levels we've never seen before. The biggest investment ever made in the United States is being made right now. Trillions of dollars.
So my thing
I would say
if they're building these car companies, are they going to be mainly human building these cars, or going to be AI, automation? Because I think that's the biggest thing, even with some of these warehouses and some of these jobs, they're going to be automated. So how many actual jobs will be created from this? Because, again, like I checked in yesterday's stream, a lot of jobs been cut. I'm going to have a number for that later, though. Appreciate y'all tapping in the stream. I am your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist. If you are on Rumble, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, watching, please make sure you like and subscribe. But let me get back to the president. He's talking.
criminals and murderers, 11,888 people that murdered, and at least half of them murdered more than one person. This is what Biden led into our country. I'm bringing in big companies. We have Apple is investing $500 billion. We have Jensen, as you know, is going to be 500 biggest chip maker, or chip thinker, I call him. He's really a thinker more than a maker. But we also have the maker, Mr. Wei. I get to know them all in the last, it was a cram course. But they're all moving into America because of the tariffs. And I don't think people have appreciated it. Some people do, some of the smart people do. So we have more money coming in. It's really an amazing thing. We have more money being invested in the United States now than at any time ever before in our history, and it's not even close. And I think the real number could be 9 or 10 trillion. We don't know everybody that's doing it. We have many. I just heard about a plant that's being built right now, a very, very top-of-the-line company, and they didn't come to the White House. They're just doing it because they're making it, because if they build here, there are no tariffs. And this is the big market. This is the market. That sets us apart from it. This is the market where everyone wants to be. Now, if I didn't come here and do this, all of a sudden we wouldn't be the market where everyone wants to be. So we were able to do it in time. But we're going to have a great announcement. And I'm not necessarily saying it's on trade. Going to the beginning, we're going to have a great announcement over the next few days, an announcement that will be so incredible, so positive. And I'm not saying, I don't want you to think it's necessarily on trade. Just to finish, we also have a situation, because everyone says, when are you going to sign deals? We don't have to sign deals. We could sign 25 deals right now, Howard, if we wanted. We don't have to sign deals. They have to sign deals with us. They want a piece of our market. We don't want a piece of their market. We don't care about their market. They want a piece of our market. So we can just sit down, and I'll do this at some point over the next 2 weeks, and I'll sit with Howard and Scott and with our great vice president, who has done a really good job. We have some good news to report on a lot of fronts. But JD will be there, and Marco, and we're going to sit down, and we're going to put very fair numbers down, and we're going to say, here's what this country, what we want, and congratulations, we have a deal. And they'll either say, great, and they'll start shopping, or they'll say, not good, we're not going to do it. And I said, that's okay, you don't have to shop. Now, we may think, well, they have a right, that maybe we were a little bit wrong, so we'll adjust it. And then you people will say, oh, it's so chaotic. No, we're flexible. But we'll sit down, and we'll, at some point, in some cases, we'll sign some deals. It's much less important than what I'm doing.
When are we going to hear from the Prime Minister, man? We've been hearing a lot from the President, but we really came to hear about the Prime Minister talk about the tariff war, like not the rest of this. Mr. Trump, respectfully. Appreciate y'all tapping to the stream, man. We have a goal of 2 subscribers today. Go ahead and subscribe to your boy channel, man. I'm just trying to pass and get 800. That's it. That's the goal for today. So if we hit 800, I haven't checked yet, but make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I am your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist. Let's get back to the President.
We're not going to put up with that. And they've agreed already to drop it. They'll drop it to nothing. They've already agreed. They would have never done that for anybody else but me. So we're going to put down some numbers, and we're going to say our country is open for business. And they're going to come in, and they're going to pay for the privilege of being able to shop in the United States of America. It's very simple. It's very simple. So I wish they'd keep, stop asking, how many deals are you signing this week? Because one day we'll come and we'll give you 100 deals. And they don't have to sign. All they have to do is say, oh, we'll start sending our ships right now to pick up whatever we want or to bring whatever we want. It's very, very simple. And I think my people haven't made it clear. We will sign some deals, but much bigger than that is we're going to put down the price that people are going to have to pay to shop in the United States. Think of us as a super luxury store, a store that has the goods. You're going to come and you're going to pay a price, and we're going to give you a very good price. We're going to make very good deals. And in some cases, we'll adjust. But that's where it is. And we've been ripped off by everybody for 50 years, and we're just not going to do that anymore. We can't do that. And we can't let any country do that to us. We're just not going to do it anymore.
Can you tell us a bit more about the deal that you've reached with the Houthis?
No, it's not a deal. They've said, please don't bomb us anymore, and we're not going to attack your ships.
And where did you hear about that?
It doesn't matter where I hear it. The very good source, I could tell you. Very, very good source. Would you say, Marco? I would say pretty good, right, JD? A very good source. No, they don't want to be. They don't want to be. They don't want to be bombed anymore. You know, I sort of thought that would happen. No, behind you, please.
Clarifying something you said on USMCA, is the U.S. prepared to walk away from that pact?
For what pact?
USMCA.
No, it's fine. It's there. It's good. We use it for certain things. It's there. We have the USMCA is a good deal for everybody.
Hey, Max,
I won't say this about
comments
Mark,
like that, my man.
but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that
feel
worked.
you,
She was
but
terrible,
no, bro, I
actually.
don't
She
feel-
was a terrible
No,
person.
no.
And she really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't get away with it. You know who I'm talking about. But so,
Go on,
you know, I had
Channel.
we had a bad
Not glorifying
relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way they viewed the deal, and we ended it. You know, we ended that relationship pretty much. The USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it.
Mr. President,
I'll say a word on USMCA if I may, Mr. President. It is a basis for a broader negotiation. Some things about it are going to have to change. And part of the way you've conducted these tariffs has taken advantage of existing aspects of USMCA. So it's going to have to change. There's other elements that are come, and that's part of what we're going to discuss.
My bad, chat.
During the campaign, Prime Minister Carney talked about the American vitriol.
Oh,
How do you react?
patience.
Canada decided not to shop in the American store as much as before and decided to partner with other countries.
Well, we don't do much business with Canada from our standpoint. They do a lot of business with us. We're at like 4%. And usually those things don't last
Get the
very
Prime
long. You know, we have
Minister
great
face.
things, great product, the kind of product we sell.
Y'all
Nobody
see the
else
Prime
can
Minister
sell,
reaction?
including military. Look, we make the best military equipment in the world, and Canada buys our military equipment, which we appreciate. But we make the best military equipment in the world by far. The missiles, the submarines, everything. Everything we have is really top notch. I rebuilt our military during our last term. Stupidly, we gave some away to Afghanistan, which shouldn't have happened. But that was, I think it was the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country.
Kind of crazy.
Just
Hydrax,
very
bruh.
incompetent people. But if you
Hold on, let me mute the president. Calling me the N-word doesn't trigger me, brother. I use the N-word profusely. So go ahead, and if you feel like writing letters N-I-G-G-E-R in my chat on the stream, go ahead and do it. But guess what? I appreciate you and everyone else for tapping in, because it's not about me being black or the N-word. It's about the fact of you being ignorant, bro. Like, that's not going to trigger me, baby. Let's get back to the president.
But I knew him before. I went to Iraq, and we agreed to a plan, and that was the plan. And as you know, we did it in record time. So we have, you know, we have the best equipment in the world. We have the best, a lot of things, and but Canada it does a lot more business with us than we do with Canada. Yeah.
Mr. President, your investments, Mr. President. When do you think the investments that you've announced, the trillions, will finally hit economic data this year?
When you're saying about the tariffs and all?
No, about the investments that you've announced.
Oh, it's hitting right now. Look, they're already starting AI plants. These are not people that look for financing. That's a good thing. You know, in real estate, you get a site, then you have to look for financing. You have to get your zoning. You know, 5 years later, you start building. You get a bank, then the bank's no good. These people have massive amounts of cash. The CHIPS Act was a ridiculous thing because that doesn't get them to build. All we did is hand very wealthy companies money. The CHIPS Act that was done by Biden. Billions, we give them billions of dollars. They don't even have to do anything with it. And then if you weren't, if you didn't have,
I'm not checking my TikTok
I don't want to be a wise guy, but if you didn't go with the DEI, if you didn't go with all of the different things woke, if you weren't woke, you couldn't even use the money. You had to have a certain percentage of this and that and that and that. It's impossible to have. The people, the companies actually complained to me. They said they gave me all this money, but nobody can get these people to do anything. I mean, look, President Obama, and if he wanted help, I'd give him help because I'm a really good builder and I build on time, on budget. He's building his library in Chicago. It's a disaster. And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people, and they have massive cost overruns. The job is stopped. I don't know. It's a disaster. And I don't like that happening because I think it's bad for the presidency that a thing like that should happen. He's got a library that's a disaster. And he wanted to be very politically correct, and he didn't use good, hard, tough, mean construction workers that I love, Marco. I love those construction workers. But he didn't want construction workers. He wanted people that like never did it before, and he's got a disaster in his hands. Like millions of dollars, really many millions of dollars over budget. And I would love to help him with it, or somebody else. I could recommend professionals. But it was not built in a professional manner. By the way, nor was in California a little train going from San Francisco to Los Angeles that's being run by Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Did you ever hear of Gavin Newsom? He has got, that train is the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. It's like totally out of control. So then they said, all right, we won't go into San Francisco. We'll stop 25 miles short. And we won't go into Los Angeles. We'll stop 25 miles short. It's hundreds of billions of dollars for this stupid project that should have never been built. And then they realized that it would have been a lot less costly if we just gave limousine service back and forth and gave it free. They would have saved hundreds of billions of dollars. They have airplanes that go there for one 1/100th the cost. And they have cars. They have a thing called the highway that goes back and forth that's not fully utilized. And they got involved with this project. And Gavin, you know, I always liked Gavin. I had a good relationship with him. I just got him a lot of water. You know, I sent in people to open up that water because he refused to do it. And we just got him a lot of water. If they would have had that water, and if they would have done what I said to do, they wouldn't have had the fires in Los Angeles. Those fires would have been put out very quickly. But if you think about it, and you got to take a look at this, it's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. I've watched a lot of stupid people build a lot of stupid things, but that's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen, what's happening between San Francisco and Los Angeles. And you ought to ask about that because this government is not going to pay. I told our very great new Secretary of Transportation, he's doing a good job, Sean Duffy, I said, we're not going to pay for that thing. They are just, it's out of control. This is something that you don't have things like this. It's not even conceivable. Like 30 times over budget, 30 times. It's the craziest thing and now it's hundreds of, it was supposed to be a simple train. And I think the media should take a look at it. And I'd love him to run for president on the other side. You know, I'd love to see that. But I don't think he's going to be running because that one project alone, well, that and the fires and a lot of other things, pretty much put him out of the race.
Mr. President, what changes would you like to see to the USMCA? Or what changes would you like to make?
We're going to work on some subtle changes, maybe. I don't even know if we're going to be dealing with USMCA. We're dealing more with concepts right now. Look, right now, we're doing trade. We have trade. They're paying a tariff on cars and steel and aluminum. And I think we have a baseline of 10% or something like that for the tariffs. But we're getting along very well. Right now, going no further, but we have an agreement. We did something with even parts. You want to discuss that, Howard, with respect to Canada, which helps Canada out?
Sure. So we've made an arrangement with the car companies that 15% of their USMCA parts are included, and then 15% of foreign parts from the manufactured suggested retail price are not tariffed to help domestic manufacturing really thrive.
So it gave them a chance to be able to build their car parts factories if they're going to. A lot of these companies already have factories, and what they have to do is just fill them out. But they're able to build them in the United States, so we gave them a pretty substantial period of time.
Just to clarify, Mr. President, is there anything the Prime Minister can say to you today to change your mind on tariffing Canada?
Tariffing cars?
Tariffing Canada. Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No,
Why not?
just the way it is.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Prime Minister can't even talk. He came down here.
Sure I would. But this is not
Yeah,
necessarily
Richard,
one
hey,
day.
brother.
This is over
Hey,
a
I'm-
period of time they have to
Talk,
make
bro.
that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. Well, if respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state. Secondly, we are the largest client of the United States in the totality of all the goods. So we are the largest client of the United States. We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else in the world. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion.
Okay.
There are much bigger forces involved, and this will take some time and some discussions, and that's why we're here, to have those discussions, and that is represented by who's sitting around the table.
See, the conflict is, and this is very friendly. We're not. This is not going to be like we had another little blow up with somebody else. That was a much different. This is a very friendly conversation. But we want to make our own cars. We don't really want cars from Canada, and we put tariffs on cars from Canada. And at a certain point, it won't make economic sense for Canada to build those cars. And we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel, and we don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves.
Okay.
And we, because of past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. In other words, they have a surplus with us, and there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada's a place that
Mr. Prime
will
Minister.
have to be able to take care of itself economically.
Mr. Prime Minister.
I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I mean, I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said, that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that. Thank you very much. We're going to have a very substantial. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Why don't you
Mark Carney with us. As you know, just a few days ago, he won a very big election in Canada. And I think I was probably the greatest thing that happened to him, but I can't take vote credit.
They really ended it like
His
that.
party was
That's
losing by a
absolutely
lot.
crazy, y'all.
And he ended up winning, so I really
They
want to
just
congratulate
cut
him.
the
We
string.
won
Let
probably
me go
one of
to
the
the White
greatest
House
comebacks in
page.
the
Ain't
history
no
of
way
politics.
Trump just
Maybe
cut the
even
string
greater
like
than
that. We
mine.
got over 1,000 people tapped in. I
But I
appreciate all
wanted
y'all being on
to
stream today.
congratulate you.
YouTube and everyone else, they just cut the string. No way. Ain't no way they did. Oh my goodness. What do you all think of President Trump? And we're gonna go to another live. We got another live set up because it's more than one thing happening in Congress today. I'm surprised that even went down the way it did. And I lost like 300-400 people. That's unbelievable. It was just getting heated. Let me switch this over while I try. It was just getting lit over there on in the White House, man. And now we have to wait to see. Hold on. Now we have to wait to see what comes from this, because we waited a whole 30, 45 minutes just to get to a point of the president being in the room, them talking. Trump bogarted maybe 35 minutes of that 44-minute meeting. And the Canadian Prime Minister really came down here just to listen to Trump ramble almost about the same stuff we hear every week. Yeah, I hate to say it. Oh, we hear they're saying the House Democrats are speaking now. We're going to go over to the House Democrats and see what they're talking about because Trump, I can't believe that they just switched over like that. Let's see what Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats are talking about in the House. I appreciate everybody tapping in on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, and other places throughout the world. We're on Rumble tonight as well. I'm going to have to go through the chat.
To ensure that Medicaid and SNAP are entirely protected.
Go through the chat. We had some good participation today. After the buddy called me the N-word, I wasn't really tapping to the chat like that. My apologies. We back in.
44%
Listen to the Democratic
in working class neighborhoods of Philadelphia that I'm proud to be from and represent. 44% are on Medicaid. My neighbors will have their lives deeply impacted in a negative way if these Medicaid cuts go through. We are doing everything we can to prevent them. And with that, I am now proud to introduce almost a neighbor from New Jersey, the past and future chair of the Energy and Commerce Committee.
Wow, Joe, I can't believe Trump ended it like that. Let me get to this chat.
Thank you, Brendan, and thanks to all our leadership and Angie and all of us involved here today. I'm going to take a cue from you. You said that you just need one or two from the 2%. Philadelphia. On the other side of the river, I have 3.
People like
we could just use those 3 and maybe one more from Philadelphia.
Deal.
And
I'm going to read through the chat for a second. I know most of y'all don't know who this congressman is, so it's okay. Right? So I'm going to just read through the chat for what it is. I'm going to leave him up unless he says something crazy. Canada's done. F you, Hydrax. I appreciate that. Yeah, tariffs, your friends. Canada is done. What do you mean? Clyde, we're fine in Canada. I believe you. Jackie O, has anyone ever looked up the amount of money his family has made since he's been in office? Jackie, I think that's out there for Google or ChatGPT or somebody to tell you. That's good to know. But the Trumps have made a lot of money. I mean, you're the president. They're staying at your Trump International, Mar-a-Lago memberships. It's private. He divested himself, but you know he's still making money. It's in the family, baby. You're not gonna let your daddy go broke if your daddy's the president. So you know the money's still coming in. Never wanted to drop kick a president so bad. Not on my stream. What is wrong with this guy? How dare you add Sir Jackie O? I think Trump's been doing an amazing job in our country. We do it all. Appreciate you tapping in, man. How much do Democrats pay these influencers? Hey, Robert, I don't know how much the Democrats are paying. It's kind of sad to see that happen. We're going to go to the Oversight Committee in a second, too, because the Democrats are talking about nothing on this. So we'll see what they're saying. But let me get through the chat. Name one thing. Oh, my God, you guys are so easy to irritate. Alberta, 51st state. Bro is single-handedly dragging American reputations into the abyss. Do you think Trump is dragging American reputations down? Let me add that in the chat. Do you think Trump is dragging America's reputation down? My buddy said into the abyss. Yes, I'm going to keep that simple. Keep that simple. If you think Trump is dragging the world into the abyss, he has to go back and tariff. He does. Tariffs are the best. Support them 100%. Ed's Tech. There's gold behind the rainbow. Which rainbow? Whose rainbow? Trump 2028. I'm getting a lot of that in the chat these days, man. Lincoln was shot. Carney talks like Canada is at war with America and winning. Carney, your entire population is the size of California. You aren't a large, negotiated coastal tariff, aka 50-50. Prime Minister, it's been a lot. Compton loves Trump. Appreciate that. We're gonna go to the Oversight Committee. Let me find that. Be patient with me for a second, because while we're listening to the Democrats that we know, I'm just gonna say the same thing they've been saying forever, bro. And it get kind of tiresome to see that and hear that. And actually, let's take a break from politics. Let's check in with the Diddy trial. Let's see what's going on with the Diddy trial today, because it's still jury selection. I think CBS News had a better stream for the Diddy stuff. I guess I don't have a stream today for Diddy. Nope. That's why we're gonna go back to the politics, and I guess Diddy's Diddy isn't doing it for the people. What's that? Is it German already? What was that on? Forbes, I think. Forbes News. My bad, y'all should have had this better organized. I appreciate y'all tapping in regardless, man. I think that's over there. All these are over, man. All these meetings are, I guess it all aligns. Let's go back to Hakeem Jeffries. Give his page some look. My bad. Like, damn, Phil, get it together. Just, where are we at now? That's not what I was trying to see. Where's Hakeem Jeffries? I just seen his stream. All right, here it is. Let's get back to the budget talk. My bad on that. Yeah. I need some lunch. I got a phone call coming in. People care about Mr. Combs because his trial's just starting. That's really what it is, and it's gonna drive some headlines. What else is supposed to sell? And excuse me. Appreciate everybody on Rumble tapping in as well, man. Soda. Oh, my bad. I still had them muted. My bad. Y'all didn't even realize that.
I would go around the
had the
state of
Democrats
Minnesota
muted on their
and I would do town
press
halls
conference. Y'all was
in
listening to me
each of
breathe.
their Republican
That's not right.
districts. And I can tell you cuts to Medicaid and cuts to SNAP were two of the most concerning issues that their constituents raised to me because they won't show up and do their own town hall. So I say to you,
Oh, doesn't it?
I'm not looking for 4 Republicans in this country. I'm looking for 4 patriots in this country. 4 Republicans. That's all we have to find. And folks, if we can't find 4 patriots left in our nation to put their money where their mouth is and sign on to this discharge petition, then that is a truly sad day in America and a truly sad day for the Republican Party. Thank you, and I'll turn it back over to Leader Jeffries for comments.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Frank,
Here you
Brendan, and Catherine. Questions?
Thank you, Leader Jeffries. Republican Congressman Nunn, Van Orden, and Bacon have signed on to a point of order that aims to kind of accomplish similar to what you all are discussing here. Will you support that, and should members of your caucus support both?
Those 3 members need to support the discharge petition that has been filed because it's ripe.
How you talk with his
point
hands
of
like
order
that?
those
He may
3
be an attorney, but
Republicans filed won't ripen until
it's
at
like the
least
same
30
repetitive hand movements.
legislative
You can just
days.
mute them. Let me mute him again. You can just tell it's like he's saying nothing, but because his hands up, you think he's pointing like his talking points in his head, so he just moving his hand like he's on the campaign trail. Cause he's not even saying, he's like T.I. for real. If you ever heard T.I. talk and they say, he's using big words and that's all he's doing with his hands because he think he's saying shit, but he's not saying nothing. He's just moving his hands, so it make it feel like this. If I start doing this on the stream, no lie, like we're gonna do this on the stream. If I start doing this on the stream and tell you that I want 30 more followers and we're trying to reach a goal, doesn't it sound like I'm saying something that's very articulate? Doesn't it sound like I'm saying something that makes sense
if
to
not
the average
more,
person?
have
Just because I move my
repeatedly and
hands
publicly
doesn't
said
mean it makes sense.
they
That's
will
all
not
Hakeem Jeffries is
support a
doing.
budget
The
reconciliation
more I do this,
that actually
doesn't mean
cuts
that it makes
benefits,
sense to you, the American
Medicaid,
people, right?
and SNAP.
I'm not saying
However,
it's disconnected between Democrats and
time
everyone
for them
else,
to actually
but just because I move my hands doesn't mean
put
that I'm
their
actually
money
making
where
sense.
their mouth
Because I
is.
wax off and let you know that I need some motion between these hands, maybe you'll think that I'm actually saying something. But because I move my hands, because I'm saying something with my hands moving and I'm clapping, doing a high five with you, I bet you that this ain't what you want to do.
just a handful of Republicans actually.
Hey, I need some competition. Slide. You get it popping, right? But if I did that, and you would think that, damn, this brother is saying something. Come on, man. I could be a politician. I've elected politicians. I've elected some of his colleagues, right? But the issue again is Democrats can't do nothing. And Hakeem Jeffries, I hate to say it, brother, you're not the leader the people need, bro. You're not the people the leader need for Democrats, because the Democrats are looking for a new leader, and everybody's playing the game and saying the same shit that nobody wants to hear anymore.
On notice through other measures or mechanisms if they do anything.
Watch, I bet they say nothing nobody wants to hear.
Well, you know,
let me know how you feel.
It's an all-hands-on-deck effort to make sure we protect the health care of the American people, as well as prevent Republicans from literally snatching food from the mouths of hungry children, veterans, and seniors. Now, Republican leadership continues to claim that they have no intention of enacting devastating cuts to Medicaid and SNAP, and so it's not clear to us why they would block an actual legislative effort to make sure that what they are saying actually takes place.
The hand movements don't mean nothing, Jeffries.
Thank you. Just to answer this question, this is yet another CYA move by the House Republicans, and frankly, the American people are tired of it.
Yeah,
you are seeing it in town halls.
I think they're tired of
We're
the
seeing
Democrats
it
just
across this
fear-mongering
country.
and shit too.
People do not want them to take away their
I really
basic
think that's what it
needs:
is.
health care, food, school lunch
Let me
programs,
know, Chad,
feeding
what you
our
think, Chad.
seniors, Meals on Wheels, in order to fund tax cuts. And what we see repeated is so-called moderates writing letters to the speaker saying, this is not good for my district, it's not good for the country, for people, but then turning around and voting for it twice anyhow. And so this latest resolution just falls right into this same, inauthentic action. If you actually want to take and protect healthcare in this country, and you actually think that this is terrible for working families out there to take away their health care and food programs in order to have tax cuts for the very wealthiest, then vote on it.
How many years have they been talking about the tax cuts for the very wealthy, man?
Right, 30 legislative days from now, let's do it this week. And let's get back to a process and talking about taxes that makes sense and is centered around families at home.
Thank you. The speaker has indicated that
He was passionate about that.
believes there's about
He was very
$50 billion
passionate.
in fraud and abuse in Medicaid. What number, if you're looking at fraud and abuse, do Democrats think is okay to cut?
First of all, there's nothing close to $880 billion.
They argue that over the 10-year window, that would add up to 550 some odd.
Appreciate everybody tapping to the stream today. YouTube, TikTok,
defer to Frank Pallone.
Rumble.
We did a report in the Energy and Commerce Committee that was based on these red tape.
I actually want to finish watching some Jasmine Crockett
Georgia and
interviews.
Arkansas, two states that experimented with it. And what we found was that
Why y'all here, maybe y'all
overwhelmingly,
tap in with
hundreds
me,
of
right?
thousands of people, I think it was 80-90% of the people
Actually, we do have a committee.
for Medicaid
Is this live?
lost
This
their
earlier.
benefits because of the red tape requirements. And no one, or practically no one, got a job, right? Because the people were already employed who were able to be employed. So this is not a question of numbers, right? I mean, they can make up whatever numbers they want and say, it's going to be 50 million, billion, or 100 billion. Well, I understand that, but what I'm trying to say is what my fear is, and I think maybe that's what you're getting at, is that they're just going to, do these red tape requirements and say, oh, that'll hit up to $880 billion. It won't. It wouldn't be anywhere near there. But I think that what's happening now is they're in total disarray. They don't know what to do. They know they can't reach these numbers, and so they're probably going to say, oh, we'll have all this red tape, and somehow that's going to reach the number. But it's not. And the only thing that it's going to do
here is
is to
actually
make
go to
sure
the
that
oversight
most
committee.
people who are eligible for
Have a
Medicaid don't
link
get
here.
it
Let me
and lose
just
their health
copy it
insurance.
over.
Brendan?
Yeah.
I really
Chad,
found
just if
out
I
what
might, because
my
this
drug
came up in our
profit was.
12-hour budget committee markup, and after this, my staff
Really eye-opening, and it's gonna be like, damn, you know, this fireworks. Fireworks don't happen every day in this process.
Really appreciates the public
All
service
right.
that you
Fireworks
already
rarely happen if we want
this
to be.
country in multiple ways.
We're gonna tap in here. This is some of the oversight
Thank you
committee
again,
with
Mr. Chairman,
Homeland
and
Secretary
Ranking Member
Christie
Underwood, thank
Noam
Madam Secretary, we
earlier.
really appreciate you being
Not sure if any fireworks were here, but we're gonna check it out. You know, I'm looking for my girl Jasmine Crockett because you know she's gonna say something
who stand on the front
that's gonna make us go viral.
protect the homeland. Under new leadership, they've been empowered to fully carry out that fundamental duty. From day one, the Trump administration has made clear.
We're not
that
watching the whole 2
protecting
hours of
America
this.
is
Everybody
not
tapped in.
negotiable.
We're just gonna go back
This
through
White House has taken immediate
and see
action
what
to
good
strengthen
parts of
the
this meeting
security
actually
of our
happen.
nation's borders and
Get everybody
enforce
tapping in. Please make sure you like and
justice
subscribe to the channel. I am your boy Hip Hop
Contrast
Lobbyist.
from the Biden
This is the House Oversight Committee
could not
meeting.
be clearer. Policies that allowed an open and lawless border have
Waiting on
ended,
Trump and the
message
Canadian
is
Prime
clear.
Minister to come out of lunch so we can really
Illegal
see
migrants, including violent
what's
offenders,
next,
will
right?
no longer have an open invitation. Criminal cartels and traffickers will no longer be enriched, and the safety of our citizens will no longer be put last. In less than 100 days, we've watched our southern border go from chaos to closed. The decisive actions and common sense measures of the Trump administration have led to an historic turnaround, driving illegal crossings to record lows and ensuring removal of dangerous criminals. President Trump and his cabinet, particularly you, Madam Secretary, have delivered on the promise to have the most secure border in modern American history, and our nation is safer as a result. It's imperative that investments for effective border security enforcement are strong, and I'm dedicated to working with the members on this committee and across the Capitol to ensure the department is properly resourced. Secondly, I appreciate that the DHS mission doesn't end here. Living in Tornado Alley, Oklahomans are no strangers to devastation caused by natural disasters. Even now, a slow-moving storm and record-breaking rainfall is responsible for significant flooding in my state that's already resulted in the loss of life and a state of emergency declaration by our governor. When state and local resources are exhausted, we do rely on FEMA to bring additional capabilities that save residents, remove debris, and help our fellow citizens rebuild. This isn't a partisan issue. It's one that concerns states regardless of politics. I look forward to a discussion on ways to reform FEMA and improve federal emergency response capability while eliminating inefficiencies and wasteful
A
spending.
new poll up in the chat on YouTube.
Like the Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities, or BRIC, grants have provided many communities with the means to mitigate.
Hakeem
the
Jeffries is dope. I don't believe so, brother. Let me read through some of the chat. I don't believe Hakeem Jeffries is as dope as they make him seem. He could raise some money for the Democratic Party and be in leadership. That's what all this is. If it's first time here, there's something I'll let you know. These Democrats, these Republicans, these people that are in Congress aren't elected to represent you. They're not leaders just to be leaders for you. They're leaders because they can raise the most money for the Democratic Party. And the donors support them. They have a battery in their back supporting them. And if you don't believe me, go ask any former member of Congress. And go ask any member of Congress, why aren't you in leadership? Ask your congressman why they aren't in leadership today. And the most I can say, because they can't raise enough money, is Hakeem Jeffries. He's okay, but he just knows how to raise some money. That's it. Talk with his hands and all the rest of it, but he's not effective. Not to me. He's all talk, like somebody said earlier. Yeah. Yeah. Imagine going viral saying nothing but super shit. That's the Democrats every day, right? Have here done. I'm getting a lot of racism in the stream today. I love and hate it, right? Nothing to hide, but let's go. I had a poll. We had, do you think Trump is dragging America's reputation into the abyss? 90 people voted on the stream. 53% said yes. 46% say no. That's wild. Absolutely wild. I turned her up. My bad on that, chat. Y'all been hearing me and
since
not
President
that. I've
Trump
been
took office.
messing up. My bad.
March saw
War
the
plug, I
lowest
got
number
you.
of border encounters in
I fixed
recorded
it. My bad
history
on that.
in the history of the United States of America at just under 7,200. That means that there were days where we had less than 200 encounters, which again is the lowest in recorded history. Under the previous administration, U.S. Customs and Border Protection was at times encountering over 15,000 people a day, which mean efforts were diverted into processing and facilitating an invasion of our country instead of doing their jobs. This astonishing turnaround is a testament to the resolve and to the leadership of President Trump to make America safe again, and it is accomplished by the incredible work of the people of the department. The secure border has allowed the Border Patrol to zero in on cartels and their illicit activity, and President Trump has designated 6 different cartels and criminal gangs as foreign terrorist organizations. This has allowed us to use a whole-of-government approach to go after drug traffickers, human traffickers, and in March, fentanyl traffic at the border fell by 54% compared to the previous year. We are enforcing immigration laws to identify,
welcome
detain,
everybody.
and to
No matter your
remove
party.
dangerous illegal criminals out of our country. And we're prioritizing individuals that have committed crimes in our communities. Aliens are a threat to our public safety and to our national security, and especially those that are affiliated with terrorist organizations such as Tren de Aragua and MS-13. This includes those who have final orders of removal in place, are a priority for this administration. We've also worked with President Trump on his America First trade agenda through the U.S. Customs and Border Patrol actions and enforcement. The Biden administration hollowed out America's industrial base, and they shipped our jobs overseas. Well, President Trump is changing all of that. His actions are proving that tariffs are an effective negotiating tool to address trade imbalances. And in fact, companies are reshoring jobs here in America every single day. The Department of Homeland Security is reforming and rethinking federal improvement in our involvement in emergency response and management as well. President Trump recently announced new members to the FEMA Review Council, which I will co-chair with the Secretary of Defense. Now, this council is charged with fixing a broken system, and it is a system that will, when fixed, return power to state emergency management directors to make America safe again. And we're also taking steps to defend the nation's transportation systems, which are vulnerable to targets and attacks. The Transportation Security Administration is responsible for ensuring the security of all of those that travel. In a single day, there are over 45,000 flights and nearly 2.9 people travel on our airlines and our passengers in the United States. We're fulfilling our obligation to enforce and to launch Real ID in order to follow federal law that was enacted nearly 20 years ago.
Real ID,
Validated
that's what's been
IDs
trending. I've
will
been seeing
secure
that a lot on
travel,
Twitter.
safeguard our elections, and make sure that we never experience and work to prevent a 9/11 attack again. As technology advances, so do the threats to our nation, and that's why cybersecurity is so crucial to our future. Countries like Communist China have both the capability and the intent to infiltrate and to potentially disrupt our critical infrastructure systems. The Homeland Security Department is responsible for 10 of the 16 different critical infrastructures. And despite these threats, the Biden administration instead used CISA to play politics and to police speech. Under President Trump, we've been working to get CISA back on mission and to make sure that they're focused on cybersecurity. Now, the Coast Guard is the only branch of our military and our U.S. Armed Forces that is under the umbrella of the Department of Homeland Security, and it has many different...
I want to take a moment to thank you for taking time out of your day to watch the stream with me. I am the hip hop lobbyist. If it's your first time here, let me tell you a little bit about me. I'm a professional lobbyist in the state of Florida. I've been a government affairs expert or operative for over 15 years. I've helped elect members to Congress, pass laws, change laws, put constitutional amendments on the ballots, all kinds of things. But either way, I decided to make a YouTube channel to talk and discuss politics because I do realize that everything is kind of like very polarizing. So a part of that is not only talking about and discussing things, but also tap in to see, okay, what's happening in the world. In today's stream, I just wanted to really go through the Canadian Prime Minister's piece. I'm going to watch a little bit of this House Oversight Committee. I'm really looking for Jasmine Crockett's piece because I know that there's going to be some good content from that. And overall, this is a very important issue regarding border security because some people are asking, where's the wall? Some people are saying that immigrants are here illegally and they're taking our jobs. MS-13, they're taking over housing subdivisions in Chicago and other places of the country. All last election cycle. And now we're at a point where the Trump administration is taking over. We're here, but guess what? It stirs a pot, both sides of the aisle, on what the president does. And I said, you know what? Hey, I'm trying to grow out my channel, my community. So let's go ahead and not only as I'm working towards my goal of 1,000 subs by the end of this month, I just want to at least help educate people and talk about the issues at hand. But either way, let me get back to the secretary. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to all y'all tapping into the stream. Really do appreciate you, boy. Really do appreciate it, because the channel started off around 40. Now we're, I think, right above or around 800. I appreciate everybody who's helped grow the channel. We're going to keep going.
Going forward. As we secure our southern border, the cartels have shifted their activities to our maritime borders, and the Coast Guard has already surpassed fiscal year 2024 in the amount of drug interdiction numbers that they have encountered, and they have also excelled at search and rescue and illegal interdiction. Since the Coast Guard is facing our greatest readiness crisis right now since World War II, we need to act to make sure they have the tools, training, and equipment that they need to be the tip of the spear in our national security response. We have a plan to reinvigorate the Coast Guard, and this is a critical component of our Homeland Security mission. Now, with Force Design 2028, which some of you may have heard about already, we will transform the Coast Guard into a more agile, capable, and a responsive force. And since I took office, one of the responsibilities that I have is reforming the Secret Service in the wake of the July 13th assassination attempt on
Stop
President
gaslighting. Illegal is illegal.
We have
No one is above the
reassessed
law.
the Secret Service's needs. We've refocused recruitment away from what the Biden administration was prioritizing with DEI objectives, and instead bring
Barbara, I
people in
believe
with
you.
experience
I believe you.
and with training that align with the agency's zero-fail mission. These accomplishments are just a portion, Mr. Chairman, of what the department has achieved in just 100 days. And with the support of this committee, we'll be able to make the
War
department
plug,
more
man.
efficient,
Appreciate you.
more effective into the
War
future.
plug. I keep saying
I
plug.
want to thank Chairman Cole for his kind words. It has truly been one
What
of my
kind of
greatest
cigar you
honors
having,
to have
man?
been able to serve with
Cohiba?
him and his advocacy
Backwood?
for the people in his district, but not just the people in his district, but the history to which he's
Gang.
represented.
What's up, Randall?
The people of the United States. He's a true statesman that works across the aisle to come up with solutions. I'm so grateful for all of you, but I'm grateful for the people that work every day in the Department
That
of
is true.
Homeland
Many
Security.
citizens are
They
getting harassed by
examples of
ICE.
bravery and dedication,
But I mean, I think they're on a mission.
patriotism,
Law
and
enforcement has a job to do.
perseverance.
I hate to say it
It's
that
our
way, but they're going to do
responsibility
what they
to
got to
give them
do.
the
They have
resources
orders.
that they need to meet the
Set them
challenges of
serve,
the
and
day.
if they have
To
to
give them the
serve,
training and equipment
they
that
gonna
they
serve.
rely on to be successful for the American
Somebody's
people.
going to get caught up in
But
it.
we also have to remain accountable.
Tabernacle by Foundation. That's
and
what's
make
up,
sure that
man.
we're spending
Let me
money
look those up.
appropriately and
Tabernacle
where
by
it should be
Foundation.
spent to serve them the best. So thank you for the opportunity to be here today. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I'm going to hold off on my questions until the members have got done to see if some of them are duplicative. And so, Ms. Underwood, the floor is yours for questions.
I see you, my
Mr.
boy.
Chairman. This weekend, the president made the remarkable statement that he, quote, doesn't know whether he has to uphold the Constitution. You, however, have taken a different position, both in your confirmation hearing and when you took the oath of office. You said that you were committed to complying with the Constitution. Do you still stand by that statement?
Absolutely. I believe President Trump
Excellent.
as well
Let's start with Article 1, which gives Congress
wow.
and only Congress the power of the purse.
Oh, wow. Y'all heard
No
that?
money
See?
shall be drawn from the Treasury,
Just
but in
on one.
consequence of
I love it.
appropriations made by law. But this administration is freezing, terminating, and even clawing back federal grants and awards that were already signed into law. These are taxpayer dollars that were appropriated by Congress for the specific purposes that we laid out. So, Secretary, let me ask you, do you believe the administration has the authority to subvert appropriations law to freeze and terminate congressional
Underwood
funding?
ain't playing with y'all, man.
The administration and the Department of Homeland Security used our authorities that we have to evaluate every grant that was in front of us and meet statutory requirements, but also to make sure that they were being spent appropriate.
So, of
What
course,
we
the
did with
president
these
is within
grants
his
was
authorities.
to make sure
Ma'am,
that
this
we
is
went
my time.
forward.
Thank you so much.
Oh, wow.
Of course, the president's within his authorities to drive policy decisions within the bounds of federal law and the Constitution, but that's not what you've been doing. What I'm asking is whether you believe you have the authority to ignore appropriations law.
Now, you see that? I'll be real with you. I don't know Congresswoman Underwood. I know you have to be respectful. She's asking a question. She didn't get an answer. Like, listen, I gotta get there. But listen, they be on one way. Hey, they be reclaiming time quick. these sisters are not playing in Congress. And I understand it's only like a handful, 2 handfuls. It's not enough that equates to the people they represent. But these sisters be having the chip on their shoulder, boy. I know y'all see it. Let me know how you feel about it, Chet.
Do you believe that the Constitution gives the executive branch unilateral authority to withhold funds appropriated by the legislative
These
branch?
sisters be on
We
one.
have
I love it, though.
evaluated
Man.
grants to make sure if they're being spent appropriately, and work that is underway and was authorized has continued. Other grants that have not been started and have not been authorized or obligated, we have reevaluated. And
You know what that happens though, right? I'm gonna pause it real quick because if you've ever had a government contract, you know that you don't get paid within 2 weeks, even sometimes 30 days, sometimes 45, at 60, at 90, right? Government is one of the slowest paying contracts you would ever have, but it's consistent, right? You consistently know in 45 days, 60 days, 90 days, they're gonna pay you. You get invoice on time, it'll be processed, right? Why it happens that way is because of government schedules. Like in the state of Florida, we have a fiscal calendar that's July 1st to June 30th. July 1st to June 30th. While most people are on January 1st to December 30th, or some local governments may be October 1st to September 31st. That's staggering. In budgets, is basically like, okay, cool. You have these budgets in Congress that'll trickle down in some parts of healthcare, education, road development is needed for those federal funds, right? Federal funds come down, it comes to the state pays the county pays this, or the agency, whatever, right? And it goes through this whole trickle down effect to where you get the contract. And now you got deployed, you got the contract through RFP process, the purchasing process, if you're unfamiliar. You do that, then all of a sudden, that happens like October, or no, honestly, July last year, right? Just to get to a point of you finally contract in October, and now January, you're supposed to deploy, right? And this is all under the old administration. So January 1st, you have it's kind of skewed up, right? That's what the impact of some of this has been across people with the federal agencies. But then you've had these scammers out here telling you like, hey, yeah, don't worry about it. Just get a GovTech job, cybersecurity, all this other stuff. But if they're canceling the contracts, I'll tell you what, I can't say too much on stream. Right? So some stuff politically is confidential. And some stuff, you just can't know because it'll fuck somebody else's money up, and I'm not trying to do that. Not today, at least.
I think you're talking specifically about grants potentially within FEMA that were non-disaster related grants.
I'm talking broadly. Multiple courts have weighed in to agree. Multiple courts have ruled in agreement. Congress controls the power of the purse. That is a fact. That's not a question. That is a fact. And so if the president disagrees with certain spending, Congress passed the Impoundment Act to create a legal process to seek rescissions, and we expect him to follow the law. This administration is not just ignoring the constitutional power of the people's elected representatives. It is also violating the fundamental right of individuals. Do you believe that the Constitution grants everyone in our country the right to due process, including non-citizens?
The administration has the authority to.
Ma'am, I'm looking for a yes or no question.
Hey,
yes or no.
she ain't fucking off, man.
Yes, ma'am. Do you,
we have
ma'am,
not conducted in
claiming my
any kind
time,
of
Mr. Chairman?
Time is yours.
Okay, Secretary.
Hey, I don't know Congresswoman Underwood. I'm going to go see about her. Hey, we have to look up Congresswoman Underwood because if she fiery like this, I may have to go watch her some more, man. Y'all need to put some pressure on her, man.
No, I'm just looking for a yes or no here. Do you believe the Constitution guarantees due process to everyone in America?
Due process is exactly what this Congress lays out.
Yes or no?
It is,
Okay,
and the
ma'am,
tools
I'll
that
take
you
that as
give
a
us
no.
on due
Oh,
process.
wow, we
Excuse
are.
me. I'm trying to ascertain your understanding of the law as it applies to your
We're
department.
going to switch
and you,
over.
as a leader,
There's another press conference happening.
should be able to give us a yes or no answer.
Hey, listen, ain't no yes or no is happening right there. We're going to switch over to the House Republicans.
It's a moral issue.
Previewing a hearing on anti-Semitism on college campuses. Let's tap in.
School that allows this chaos to
Some of my black Republican friends
needs to lose all federal funds. I'm calling for every university president, every trustee, every donor to take a stand and do your job, or step aside. We will not stand by while colleges become the breeding grounds for hate. We are the country of becoming a more perfect union. I've witnessed it since the 60s. We had become a more perfect union because we understood education was at the core of our values, of our culture, and look at each other the way God looks at us from inside out, not outside in. And we'll get back to that, my friends. We'll not stand by while
If
colleges
you
become
ask
the
a
breeding
question,
ground
wait for
for
the answer.
Not on our
Otherwise, everybody
watch.
knows you're
Not on
gaslighting.
Secretary McMahon's watch.
For me? Barbara, you talking to me? Barbara? Are you talking to somebody in the chat?
I just want to say, for you courageous Jewish students, you remind me of the 1960s when it was the young black students that stood at those counters and fought against the hatred at that time. Thank you for your courage. Our country knows it and sees it. We have something called empathy, and we will respond accordingly.
Well, Barbara talking
enough
to
about our
George.
leadership. Our chairman,
Barbara and George going at it, man. I got to go back to
wise.
this. I appreciate y'all
institutional
chat.
knowledge, and he's the right man for the moment. So I'm excited about what you guys are going to witness as we continue to get our country back on track. Thank goodness we're living in a time we're seeing and we're friends. So get ready. Appreciate it. And is it Randy? Randy, come on up, buddy.
Oh, Randy Fine.
Well, thank you all for being here.
Here we
There's
go.
a lot of things where people could be spending this time this afternoon, but to be in a room like this, which is standing room only, is incredibly encouraging to me. My name is Randy Fine. I'm the newest congressman. I got elected 1 month ago, and I am many things in my life. I'm an American, I'm a father, I'm a proud Floridian. But among all of those things, there's one thing that I am most proud of, and that is that I'm a Jew.
Faithful.
And as a
Hebrew
Jew,
Hammer.
And as a Jew, I have personally experienced the scourge of anti-Semitism. I experienced it my entire life, particularly as I grew up. And I made a solemn vow when my oldest son, who's now 17, was born, that he would not have to go through what his father did. And it is a vow that I have failed to live up to. You see, anti-Semitism today is as bad as it ever was when I was a kid. In fact, some can argue that it is even worse. So when I got elected to the Florida legislature 8 years ago, I said I was going to solve that problem. And if you look at the anti-Semitism you see around the country, we don't have as much of it in Florida because I was willing to fight that fight, often alone. So imagine my surprise. Imagine my joy and my gratitude and my appreciation that when I showed up here 4 weeks ago, for the first time, I had leaders that were as committed, if not more committed, to fight for this issue as I did. The two chairs.
Oh, that's a shot at Ron DeSantis right there. If you didn't know, if you're not from Florida, that's a direct shot at your boy, America's governor, or probably the former governor of America, Ron DeSantis.
Right here, as well as our vice chair.
Let's get back to it, Randy. Burgess
Because
Owen,
the fact
you're
of the
right.
matter is,
I knew
Jewish
his name. I
kids
just forgot it.
today
Appreciate
are
you, War
afraid.
Plug.
It's never been easy to be a kid going to college.
You give off
Ask
Major
anyone.
Chicken George vibes.
But
How
no
so, Chief?
child should
Let me know
walk
how.
through
Chief, please.
campus today
How so?
and wonder if they will make it from their dorm room to their classroom or their classroom to the library or the library to the dining hall, and they will be attacked. And that is not only happening, it is excused. And I would say encouraged at many of our institutions around the country. There are
Barbara,
children
I
that
guess.
are
Thank you.
scared to go to school, and in America, that is unacceptable. But for those of us that are Jewish, it is even more unacceptable because core to our faith and who we are is a belief in the power of education to take us from where we were to where we want to be. So I will say this to every Jewish student that is here. I am here, and I will fight for you. And I will fight along these amazing leaders every day to make sure that we solve this problem. And I will do it for one simple reason. My son is going to be going to college in a year, and I'll be damned if he's going to be afraid to walk through that campus. Thank you all very, very much for being here. But it is now my privilege to talk about the horrors, to make it real, to talk about what actually does happen. This is not esoteric. This isn't something that you read on a page. Michael, who's going to speak, can show you the physical wound, the scar that he has, that he got not in a war on the other side of the world. A scar that he got on his college campus where his wrist was broken and he had to go to the hospital. Not because he was being attacked because they wanted to mug him or any other reason. He was attacked and he was hurt for one reason, because he was Jewish. And so I want you to come and tell us your story. Thank you for your bravery in being here to do it.
My name is Michael Kaminsky, and I'm a junior at DePaul University. On November 6th, my friend Max and I were attacked by 2 mass agitators simply for being proud American Jews. Prior to the attack, every week we peacefully advocated for Jewish students on campus. But that day, DePaul had just removed their security it previously put in place following an encampment, despite knowing that anti-Semitism was still a serious threat on campus. While Max and I engaged in the front and ambushed us behind. They left us with injuries that required me having to get surgery on my wrist. All the while, a campus safety officer employed by the university stood just a few feet away and did absolutely nothing. As the attackers fled, other students did not come to our aid. In fact, you know what they said? They said we deserved it. To this day, only one person has yet to be arrested, and it is clear that Jewish students are still unsafe on their campus. Now is the time we finally hold our institutions accountable for festering Jew hatred and anti-Semitism on their college campuses, and I'm looking forward to the committee hearing tomorrow. Never again is now. May God bless the United States of America.
We talk about bringing stories to life. Unfortunately, that is a story that is true, and not only for Michael, but for several other college students. And we are here to bring an awareness, but an end and accountability. So I appreciate you coming, Michael. I know that took some courage, but thank you, because with you and with all of us, we will put an end to this. So for right now, I'll just take a few questions before we leave. Kelly?
We obviously saw the Education Workforce Committee hold one of these hearings before, and a number of university presidents ended up resigning after the committee hearing. Is that your expectation for tomorrow, or do you actually have hope and faith that they'll give you answers that you are seeking?
Well, I'm an optimist by nature, so let me start with that fault. My hope, my expectation is that things begin to change. That's what my hope is. My hope is it's not about the university presidents. It's about restoring our college campuses to what they were intended to do, and that was educate. We should not be here talking about anti-Semitism, but we are. And what I can tell you is through Chairman Wahlberg, you already began to see actions, right? DePaul University is taking a little bit different stance on anti-Semitism right now. Unfortunately, it took us to call a hearing for their job.
Chairwoman, if you're disappointed by their answers tomorrow, would you push for legislation to possibly threaten defunding these universities?
I am prepared, or I'll speak for me, if it's all right, if you disagree with me, is we're prepared to do whatever it takes to restore the college campuses so Jewish students and all students, I don't care what your race, your creed, your color, your religion, so all students feel safe on campus. That is part of their responsibility. So I can speak for me, and I think I speak for the people behind me. We will do whatever it takes to make sure that anti-Semitism is eliminated, it's addressed, but not just for Jewish students. I think we need to take a look at the safety of all college students. So one more.
I think I'd add one thing there as well, that we are prepared to do what's necessary, but we have a president who's already doing that. Just look at what's being done to schools. And with Columbia's president this year, hoping that we would see some courage to take action to start changing it. That didn't happen. Now the president is in negotiations with Columbia for a receivership. So there are aggressive actions being taken already. and we'll continue to do what's necessary. But I think that what this says, no institution is free from the oversight that we are going to give on this committee, whether large, small, whether a religious school or a private school. You're all under the gun to do what's right. We will support the right. We will oppose and push back on the wrong.
One more?
Yeah, I'm going to go to Mark in the back.
Mark in the back.
Following up on that last question, obviously you all in this committee have been having these hearings for a number of months going back to 2023 now. There was a major report in the last Congress. The administration, like Chairman Wahlberg said, has been taking some unilateral action. But are there sort of additional kind of statutory changes that you all in the committee are looking at? Where do you all sort of see this going over the next 2 years?
Again, we're going to do whatever it takes. It's a shame that we have to legislate safety. It's a shame that we have to legislate against anti-Semitism. I mean, think of what we're doing. But I think, as you heard the chairman say, we're prepared to take whatever actions necessary to make sure that the students are safe. So thank you. Thank you all for your time. Thank you again, Michael, for your courage. Thank you, Representative Fine and Chairman and Vice Chairman Wahlberg and Owens. But most of all, thank you for attending, and thank you for caring enough about this issue to report upon it. Be safe out there.
Back, y'all. We've clearly seen a nice little press conference. Let's see what else is happening on the Hill. I actually want to get into something else in a second, but I want to see what else is happening on the Hill first. I think that Pam Bondi is supposed to have a announcement soon. Waiting on that, but in the interim, we talk about Project 2025 a lot, right? And the biggest issue with Project 2025 is, especially the Department of Education, is the fact of the dismantling education, they say, on the federal level, right? But Texas, if I said in another video before, other states like Texas, Arkansas, they're implementing parts of what could be Project 2025. So everybody's focused on the national politics, Linda McMahon and Trump. You really need to pay attention to the state politics, because what's happening now in the state of, I'll turn my face on the big screen here. Hold on. In the state of Texas, they decided to really change the law to allow public school money to go to educational savings accounts to parents, and the $10,000 of that to go towards private school education, right? And Texas joins 15 other states. They become the 16th state, but it's one of the broadest ones. So let's actually go through this, or wait on Pam Bondi to come in. Let's get to Governor Greg Abbott out of Texas.
And without the fearless commitment of members of the House and Senate who put families first this session.
How do you feel about?
I am about to sign into law the largest day one school choice program in the United States of America. Today is the culmination of a movement that has swept across our state and across our country. A movement driven by parents like Shanira. Shanira, where'd you go?
Right here.
So right here. A movement driven by parents like Shanira, who wanted a better education option for her son who was struggling in a low-performing school. A movement even by educators like Inge, right here, Inge.
Barbara, I want to thank you for tapping into the stream today, Barbara.
A movement driven by educators like Inge, who left a teaching position in a public school because he saw that the unique needs of every student simply was not being met. So he started his own private school in Tyler, Texas to better address those needs. A movement driven by activists and policy advocates across the state. Fueled by a vision for an education system that levels the playing field for parents and expands opportunity for our great children. A movement driven by families who...
What people always say about the charter school movement, for real, respectfully, it's like, when Jeb Bush did it in Florida, it was one of those things to say, you know what, Democrats, they just want to throw your kids, you're taking the option away from parents. Because, you know, when you go to college, or if a child's lucky to go to college, they get to choose where they want to go, whether it's a private school like University of Miami, a public school like, what is a public school? Georgetown, Alabama, University of Alabama, Auburn, wherever, right? USC. Well, that's a private school. They can choose wherever they want to go, right? But a parent has to decide they can only send their child to the school in their zip code that's underfunded, right? And that's where school choice kind of came in, late 90s, early 2000s. And 25 plus years, a lot more states are implementing it. And now we're at a point where landmark legislation is happening across the board. And this is Senate Bill 2. It was a priority of the governor of Texas to make sure that school choice is available. Again, Oklahoma, Arkansas, other states have battled it. A Republican state like Kentucky has been fighting it. I don't believe they have charter schools there. But altogether, it's a movement, right? Let's get back into the governor as he talked about his bill. And we're still waiting on
Share my
Bondi's
vision,
press conferences.
and that it is time that we put our children on a pathway to having the #1 ranked education system in the United States of America.
Oh, we got Pam Bondi.
Knowing that school choice.
Got Pam Bondi, I think, live. Let me switch over to that real quick. A huge DEA bust, they say. Most computers messing me up. Oh.
Behind me, it took months and months of work, investigation, leading up to smaller buys, smaller cases, to get this massive amount of drugs and guns off our streets. $5 million approximately in cash, 35 kilos of methamphetamine, 35 kilos
of meth,
7.5 kilos of cocaine, 4.5 kilos of heroin, 49 rifles and pistols, all shown in the pictures.
Wow!
And then, of course, the 3 million pills. These pills were stamped as oxycodone. Let that sink in. 3 million pills going on our streets. 3 million pills, the streets of our country, laced with fentanyl, labeled as oxycodone. And they were in all different strengths of fentanyl within them.
That's crazy.
This operation was made possible by over 55,000 hours of law enforcement investigation. And this is a really dangerous job that these DEA agents face every day, but they are getting very dangerous drugs off of our streets each day. They are flooding our cities with a weapon of mass destruction, fentanyl.
Yeah.
And waiting, and we will lock you up for as long as humanly possible. We will not negotiate with those who are killing our family members, including brothers, sisters, daughters, sons, parents, friends. Everyone in this room, I guarantee you, knows someone who has been afflicted with drug addiction, and many who have known someone who has lost a loved one because of this trash on our streets. The precursors are made in China. It was sent to Mexico and came right in our country.
Like that.
And again, 6 of these individuals were here illegally. That won't shock you. And we're running a massive, massive drug operation. This kind of success doesn't happen without extraordinary leadership. And I want to personally thank my friend, DEA Principal Deputy Administrator Rob Murphy.
Hey, Rob.
DEA El Paso Division Chief, Agent in Charge, Omar Arellano. I'm killing your name, Omar. Omar, okay. And U.S. Attorney, where's Ryan? Ryan Ellison. I also want to thank again the brave men and women of law enforcement. Last week I joined them
Diversity,
at
Equity,
a
Inclusion
DEA
Network.
laboratory.
What they got to them?
And we went there, and it was truly remarkable what we saw, how quickly these cartels can manufacture and make fentanyl powder and put it into these pills. But people need to know, parents need to know, kids need to know, this fentanyl, this bus, these 3 million pills were oxycodone. They put this in Xanax, they put this in Adderall, they put this in Molly, the date drug or the party drug, something called Molly. They put it in cocaine, and they put it in marijuana. And it is to get you so highly addicted that you can't get off it. 75,000 Americans are dying each year because of fentanyl. 75,000. And that's why this is so important today. You've got to spread the word. If you know anyone who is taking any recreational drugs, they need to be extremely careful, because there is a very high likelihood it could be laced with fentanyl. And that's one of the reasons 75,000 Americans are losing their lives each day. It is the #1 cause of death for individuals between 18 and 34 in our country.
That's wild.
More seizures are coming. More arrests are coming. I guarantee you that. And these dealers, these sellers, these street-level sellers better look out, because we will not be negotiating with you. We will bring you to justice.
Wow, you hear?
And we will not stop until this poison is off of our streets in our country. It is my honor to introduce my friend with DEA, Rob Murphy.
Before Rob comes up, I'm going to pause this for a second. I could see Pam Bondi running for president for real. If Don Jr. or whoever doesn't want to replace Trump, if they can't amend the Constitution, I could see them running Pam Bondi as president in 2028 for real. What y'all think, chat? Republicans. Now, I don't know who the Democrats going to put up. It better not be Hakeem Jeffries with the hands. I don't know who it could be. But if it's AOC versus Pam Bondi, who you got? I'm going to put that in the poll. The poll up. If it's AOC versus Pam Bondi in 2028, what do you think would happen? Let me know in the chat, y'all.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Attorney General Bondi. Good afternoon. First off, I'd like to take a second and thank the men and women at DEA, along with our partners, U.S. Marshals, the IRS, obviously the U.S. Attorney's Office, who made this 6-month investigation happen. Without their tenacity, there was many obstacles that they faced throughout this investigation, led by Alberto Salazar Amaya, operating in the United States with no regard at all for the disruption to families, addiction, and ultimately death that was probably caused for the distribution. That nearly $5 million in cash represents poison that was distributed throughout.
$5 million cash? The
The
illegals had that much money they weren't paying taxes on?
Obviously a major organization.
That's crazy.
This team was able to infiltrate the organization at every level. We knew how the drugs were being brought into the U.S. We've identified the main players in Mexico who belong to the Sinaloa cartel, who was recently designated by this administration as a foreign terrorist organization. We are exploiting them at every level. We continue to do that. We expect more out of this investigation. Could not be more proud of the men and women.
I heard, man. Hold on.
Put their lives on the line.
Let Mark keep talking. I'm muting him already. I'm pausing already. Dry herb voter. Do you really think that impeaching Trump is going to change anything? Democrats did it twice, and it didn't do anything but energize the Republican base. It did nothing. What would impeaching Trump honestly really solve, especially when they have majority? You think majority of people are going to impeach him when half their voters don't even believe the nonsense that Democrats say? Come on, man. Let's be real.
Ryan Ellison, and I'm the United States Attorney for the District of New Mexico. I'm going to give you a brief overview of
You're going to be governor of New Mexico next, watch.
That dismantled one of the largest and most dangerous fentanyl operations in United States history. This case involved coordinated efforts from federal, state, tribal, and local law enforcement agencies across multiple states. As a result of this ongoing investigation,
We have a tie in the poll in the chat, y'all.
arrested, including the
Go ahead and vote on that poll before, so we can get the next one up. We have a tie on the poll right now. Let me get out a couple more votes. Then I'm gonna have a new one: AOC versus Pam Bondi. I want to see where y'all at, chat.
In Albuquerque alone,
Turn my volume down. I'm a bit too loud.
staggering quantities of illegal drugs and assets, including over.
I'm gonna give y'all 2 more. I'm gonna give y'all till 1:47
kilograms
Eastern.
of concentrated fentanyl powder.
Finish voting.
7 pounds of methamphetamine, multiple kilograms of heroin and cocaine, 41 firearms, to include ghost guns and weapons modified for automatic fire, more than $600,000 in cash, and numerous luxury vehicles. This sophisticated fentanyl and narcotics distribution network spanned New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, and Utah, and was responsible for distributing lethal narcotics throughout the western United States.
Wait a minute.
The sheer scale and potency of this fentanyl.
That was only
with enough lethal
5
doses
states
to kill countless Americans. All defendants faced serious federal charges related to conspiracy and distribution of fentanyl, along with additional charges for firearms offenses and immigration violations.
This is a vote coming now, kind of close, man. It's kind of close. We got a couple more voters. Got about 30 more seconds, if
Primarily
that.
the Albuquerque field office, as well as many other DEA field offices across the western United States, our local and federal partners, and the assistant U.S. attorneys that are prosecuting this case. Together, we have sent a clear message. We will not tolerate those who profit from poisoning American citizens. The fight continues, but today, our communities are safer with these drugs and criminals off the streets. Thank
Hey,
you.
Glenn. All right, poll closed. Only Trump 2028. They say Pam Bondi can't run.
I was briefed before this by all of the agencies together, and the coordination with the AUSAs and DEA and the law enforcement agencies is truly remarkable. Thank you all. And again, be safe out there every day. They're out there risking their lives every day to save us and keep us safe. So thank you all. I think we're going to take a couple questions, but we are going to remain on topic today because we are here for something so serious. And I had wanted to walk out first and let you all hold this. This is how much fentanyl it takes to kill you. So if you want to come up and look at this after in this vial, you're welcome to. It looks like just a few grains of salt, and this is what it takes to kill you.
Just a reminder, we're staying on topic today.
Go ahead.
Madam Attorney General.
Ask the question.
I was wondering if you're seeking to deport the 6 illegal aliens who are here, or to charge them first and then seek to deport them. I know there's been a number of high-profile arrests you guys have made where you've made the decision to just go after deportation versus criminal trial. Yeah.
This guy is the leader. He's the #1 guy. And I want them to stay in our prisons as long as possible. I've no desire to send them back to Mexico because they were coming across our border illegally. No longer will they be able to do that. But the amount of drugs, the amount of money, the amount of weapons, most of these individuals, if convicted, will remain in American prisons.
Why wouldn't they go to El Salvador? Why wouldn't they go to the El Salvador prison? That doesn't make sense to me. Next question.
Attorney General Bondi, can you give us more information on some of these individuals up there, and can you also share whether the
Six Gun Sam, what's up, man? Appreciate you tapping in the stream. Everybody tapping in the stream, man. Appreciate y'all today.
We will be hopefully working with them on one soon. But yes, Mexico has been cooperating in the past. I think we extradited 29 here to our country to face charges. Some of the top cartel members
Hey, y'all wild in this chat, man.
in our nation's history, some of the worst of the worst. And we brought them here. One, in fact, is at the Kiki Camarena, right? One, I can't think of his name. He killed...
What's up, Mike?
Raphael, yeah. He killed Kiki Camarena, a DEA agent in the 80s. And Kiki Camareno's widow and son family had been trying to get this guy back since the 80s and could not do it. And President Trump, working hand in hand with Mexico, was able to get him back to this country. And we spoke to Kiki Camareno's widow and son, and they were both in tears. His son is now a judge.
Oh, wow.
And his son had his father's handcuffs and had them engraved. And I think at some point
that's
that
sweet.
monster who tortured and murdered his father will be wearing those handcuffs. But he's now in American custody, along with, I think, 28 others that we were able to extradite with President Trump working with Mexico to stop this really
That's why
reign of
Trump
terror
love her.
and this poison coming into our country.
That's why Trump love. You see, she just shout him out every time because of President Trump. I know that shit turn him on.
Will not be deported. Can you tell us any specifics on charges and any specifics on the investigation?
Appreciate you, Mike Jackson. No problem, man. I know how to take a joke, man.
So the investigation is ongoing.
Appreciate that. Make sure you like and subscribe to
I can tell you
everybody.
it was
Everybody, go ahead, like and subscribe to the channel if you're here for the first time. Miami Boy, the hip hop lobbyist, man.
but I don't want to really reveal their sources and methods of how they captured and caught these guys. But what I will tell you, the top guy who I keep pointing to, he insulated himself. He was in Oregon. He had no drugs on him, but he was the leader. He had millions of dollars. He had a Mercedes. He had a truck. He had other things, but he did not have any drugs on him because he was the leader. And that's what these cartels do, whether it's Sinaloa, whether it's MS-13, whether it's TDA. The highest leaders insulate themselves. Just like the TDA guy, you may have been with us in Virginia. When we arrested him, not even half an hour away from here, he didn't have any drugs on him either. That's what they do. They live among us. They live in neighborhoods because they are the top level. Oh, I'm sorry.
I've heard that before. That's why you can't take this gangster shit that people say on these streets. Oh, I'm a gangster. I sell dope. You as a worker. You as a pawn on the chessboard, man. Because like they saying, anybody know you in the game. It's like, damn, I was just golfing with Ivan 2 weeks ago. I didn't know he was a fucking cartel agent or motherfucking drug cartel. Like, come on, man. They are among us. As Pam Bondi say, but that's a dog whistle because now they're going to look at them and anybody as if they're in the cartel. It's kind of crazy.
Multiple, what are the charges, guys? The multiple drug trafficking, conspiracy to traffic, multiple drug charges.
Living
but depending
among
on the
us.
time,
Crazy.
they need to serve their time in an American prison to keep them off the streets. And who knows where they would go next. They're part of one of the largest drug trafficking organizations and one of the most frightening cartels.
Alana, last one.
Go ahead.
How are you making the decision about whether to put on trial in the U.S. defendants who are living in the U.S. illegally? You said you want this man to stand trial in the U.S., but in another case, someone who was alleged to be a top MS-13 member, the department moved to dismiss that case and is going to deport that person. How are you making that decision about whether to bring?
Based on the time that they can receive in prison. If these people are all facing substantial charges, maybe that might change down the road, and they all are innocent until proven guilty. If convicted, though, they're facing a substantial amount of time in prison. And there's a very big risk, we all know, releasing someone, especially to Mexico. Sending them back to Mexico, who knows? They could attempt to get through our borders, not under Donald Trump, I doubt.
But why wouldn't they go to El Salvador? I thought maybe I'm tripping here, chat. Let me know. I got to pause it. We're going to get through this stream with her, with the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. I have no issue with Pam Bondi, right? I'm trying to understand. Get my Hakeem Jeffries on. If we're deporting people from Maryland and other people across the world, across America, and sending them to the prison in El Salvador, why are we going to put this drug cartel that was running in 5 different states, had 5 million, 3 million guns, fentanyl, oxy, Xanax, lace, everything. Why are we sending them to El Salvador too, y'all? Republicans and Democrats, let me know in the chat. Does that even make sense, or am I alone here? Because this entire time we sent them to El Salvador. El Salvador's president came and talked to Trump like, hey, it's somebody, whatever, but we're going to keep the drugs out. You're not sending them back to Mexico. You're sending them to this compound. Or like Alcatraz, send their ass to Alcatraz, but that's on the taxpayer. The thing is, and this is my point, right? If they stay in the U.S. jails, they're on the taxpayer dollar, right? Isn't that the point of sending them to El Salvador? Yes, they should be prosecuted for their crimes. Bring justice for people they killed from fentanyl, like Michael B. Williams. I think that's his name from The Wire. Other, not only celebrities, but everyday families who've been impacted from fentanyl and everything else. I'm trying to figure out, yes, bring them justice. Robert, appreciate you tapping in the stream as well. But why are we sending them to El Salvador? That doesn't make any sense to me.
But they're also part of a major drug trafficking ring in Mexico. So sending them back to Mexico to continue on with their drug business isn't going to happen under this administration.
No, that's the answer.
Thank you all. And if you want to see this, Alana, you may have seen this before, but if you all want to see this, it really puts it in perspective how deadly this stuff is. And that's what I wanted you all
We're
to
not
see.
sending them to Rwanda.
Thank you all.
Appreciate you all. Oh, is that an end of it? Oh, we do have a brother. Look at it. Look at that brother DA was red tie to be seen. Boy, I say, hey, them trick daddies, let them braids go, bro. Let them braids go, bro. I get it, but let them braids go, bro. There's clean cut, professional. No, never mind. He's undercover. He's an undercover DEA agent. That makes sense. He's got to blend in because you can't bring any of them in. Like her at the end over here, she can't go. She ain't gonna come out alive, right? Hate to say it that way, but y'all know how the drug game go. You know how the cartel is. But she could be the ringleader too. Maybe she could quietly be in the ringleader with the. Y'all seen these movies? One of these DEA agents probably in the cartel too, leaking the information that we got to shut down these 5 operations and make it happen. Y'all seen the movies? But like somebody in the comments said, we're not sending these people to no damn Rwanda. What is wrong with y'all, man? Why would you want to send them to Rwanda of all places? Why not send them to another country? Why Africa? Tell me in the chat, why would you send the criminals to Africa? Because we sold our people into slavery? Come on, man. That's not a good look. But let's get back. What were we talking about earlier? We were talking about Greg Abbott and education, right? Isn't that where we were? Because we saw the president talk to the Canadian prime minister. When we seen that happen, let me get back to Greg Abbott. Go back, pick it right where we left off, right? Oh, all right, let's go back. Right in about 6-7 minutes of this one. We're going back. Greg Abbott is one of the biggest ones in the country, giving $10,000 to families to put your kid in private school. I believe up to $5,000 to put your child in a charter school, another charter school, and $2,000 to homeschool your child. And they have basically a pot of money to serve at least 100,000 kids. The school voucher program, I'm in Florida, like I said earlier. When we did it, there was so much demand, it made more. But this basically opened it up to where every student will be out there pushing it. But real quick, the lieutenant governor, he said he's about to speak. Let me yield to the governor. Y'all came to hear him, not me.
Night, hoping to see this day come to fruition. Give it up for the staff of the governor's office. Last is that all of these signing pens are going to be given out to the Lieutenant Governor, the Speaker, the two chairmen, and their staff, except for one. There's a basket over here. We call it the magic basket. It is filled with pens. Let me see. Give me one. Can you pick up the basket because it's too heavy? There's the basket. It's filled with pens like this. There's one difference. None of those pens were used to sign the bill. This pen was used to sign into law school choice. This pen is going into that basket. As kids leave today, they will be able to grab one of those pens. One of them is going to get the real pen used to sign this law.
Okay. So everybody's gonna fucking say it's the real pen.
And now, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick.
The governor right there, man. Hey, that's somebody's daughter.
Thank you, Governor.
But yeah, the main thing, like I was saying earlier before we switched over, the biggest issue they have in a lot of school choice stuff is they have a lot of black kids show up to talk about it because, as I was saying before Pam Bondi came on, a lot of Democrats were pushing the fact of, hey, public school, but you go to college, you get options. And basically they were telling parents you don't get options because if it's not based on your zip code, if the school in your area is not good and we don't invest in that school, your child still has to go there and find his way out, right? While the wealthier schools, you're not dealing with those same issues, right? You may be dealing with some overdoses, some rich people problems, but in the hood, you're dealing with PTSD, you're dealing with going to school hungry, you're dealing with other kind of things. So you're different, right? Your books are older, your facilities aren't as good. You don't even have iPad or computers for real, right? Older books. It smells like mold. That's not a good environment. But essentially, the school choice thing opened it up to say, you know what? Now we can send our kids to where we want to. And here's a bigger issue, greater issue, right? Some kids learn different. You'll have families of 3 to 5 kids, right? Maybe 2 kids learn well in a public school environment. They're social, they get along well. Maybe one child has an IEP. Maybe one's developmentally delayed or they have not special needs, but they're unique abilities for that student and that child. And they've realized that the public school environment isn't there. So why should I be forced to send my child somewhere where they don't even have the facilities, they don't even have the good IEP reportings and none of this, right? That's the issue. So now what Oklahoma Supreme Court said, I said it, and I should put it up here, but let me try to find it. What Oklahoma Supreme Court justice said is that giving the money to the parent and the parent deciding what's best for their child isn't public funds going to private schools. Because if we have an educational savings account for my child, for me to invest in their education, to buy laptops, to buy the books, not clothes, but materials, tutoring, whatever, instead of having to come out of pocket, I can use some of this tax dollars I'm paying into to use towards my child. Maybe I can send my other 2 kids to the public school, but these 3, they need to go to private school. And maybe the private school may cost $30,000 a year, right? I can at least get $10,000 off of that, $30,000 per child, right? I can at least get realistically $30,000 off that $90,000 to put my child where they need to. I still have to pay something, but maybe the tuition's only $16,000. $10,000 here, I got to come out 6 out of pocket. That's better than coming the whole 16. And they're basically saying, you know what, parents, you have an option, but what you'll see here is 100,000 kids being served. You're gonna need more money for that, baby. I'm telling you now. Off Florida alone, you're gonna need more money for that.
This is a day the Lord has made.
Amen.
This is a day that has been coming for a long time. As chair of education, all the way to the river, many people joined in. Jim Leininger in the back, and his wife Cecilia. Stacey Hawk.
That's a true talk. Appreciate y'all. Barbara, hey, how you doing? Amen.
The President of the United States even
Being
joined
wild.
in.
Bondi is correct. I don't have my opinions on that.
Senator Clayton.
That's not this trend.
Chairman Buckley. And finally, a speaker who said, I will pass school choice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So it took a long time to get to the river, but we have crossed the river today. because of all of you and persistence of not giving up on the American dream for your child and other children, because we know you cannot live the American dream if you don't have a quality education. And today is the day that not only do we give, as the governor said, the largest launch of any program ever, 100,000 students the opportunity, but we are going to make, through school choice, public schools even more competitive and better. It's not about us against them or them against us. All together, we want the best public school system, the highest paid teachers, and the best school choice program in the world. And Governor, let's make it 2 pens in there in the basket, all right? That he signed the bill with. I want to give you a hint. Maybe that's starting a trend here. I just want to give you a little bit of a hint. So thank you all for being in this fight, everyone behind us. This is just a great day. And for all of the kiddos here, you really don't know what this is about, but one day you will look back and you say, I stood there when history was made for Texas and for the United States. Thank you all.
I'm gonna stop that there. It's real. And my wake up call to people has always been, right? To be real, my wake up call is it's time to own our own damn schools. For black culture. If you're urban, black, Nigerian, Jamaican, Haitian, whatever it is, right? There comes a point where I learned about this thing called black fatigue. I'm gonna make a video about it later. But I'm black fatigued out of us complaining when they're creating solutions for us, right? Now, if they're gonna take public money away from the take tax dollars away from public schools and give it to private schools, let's open our own damn private schools. Right? I'm not saying Kanye did it, but LeBron did it. And they tried to change the narrative on 8th grade reading levels years ago, but if you know anything about 8th grade reading levels, that has nothing to do with the 3rd grade reading levels, is where it's at. So if we care about the issues, if we care about what's going on, and I know I say it, you may have heard like, damn, this bro has the same talking points. Damn, the top politicians got the same talking points too. And guess what? They've been fooling and bamboozling you, so guess what? I'm going to say the same 3 to 6 things to get your ass on track. On my stream, my chat. So I appreciate y'all tapping in. Make sure you like and subscribe more than anything. But to the main point, I'm gonna switch this over. Let me get off for a sec. Y'all on Canvas, y'all just gonna see the edit process of the video. But to me, there's a greater chance of us owning our kids' education when we're involved in the process. You feel me? When we're involved in the actual part of saying, you know what, I want to get with the education leaders in our state and my country and say, here's what we should do. Like, here's how we invest in our kids overall, right? What I want to do is go to see if there's a Diddy update. There's got to be a Diddy updates. Oh, let's hop over. Back. We got some slight updates with the Diddy trial. Let's read through this today chat. If you don't know, it's day 2 of the Diddy trial, jury selection or anything. It's gonna be. I don't know if the case is gonna be long. I don't know if it's gonna be whatever. But this Diddy trial is going to be. I'm gonna see, like I said yesterday, how this entertainment world is going to choose and pick sides. They're going to try to basically say, you know, black man this, black man that. I'm not saying a black man innocent, a black man guilty, but what I am saying is that you can't go over slapping him. I seen the video. I don't agree with men abusing. That's why I'm anti the shit. I seen it. I know that was in the video. I'm not supporting that, right? I've never put my hands on a woman. A woman never put her hands on me. But even if she did, that's totally different because what he did was fucking inhumane, right? Dragging somebody through the hotel and that video was never supposed to come out, but somehow, some way, we don't even talk about it. CNN got the video and they deleted the only copy of it. Either way, let's read through what they're talking about today. At 12:45, a woman was excused from the jury for health reasons. Anxiety attacks over the Diddy trial. That's wild. 11 a.m., 2 prospective jurors were dismissed after expressing bias. One wrote that Diddy could buy his way out of jail. Another said they leaned towards him committing crimes. Bias. Trying to eliminate bias from the jury pool. That's interesting. Practicing lawyer was struck from the pool after admitting to reading a USA Today article about jury selection. This jury selection could probably go on for 60 days. Because the way it was broadcast between the video and his personality and all these years, between music and everything, there's no way you don't know who Diddy is. There's no way you probably haven't heard these allegations. Because TMZ makes sure they break the news first and they break the videos first. And we all seen it. Hey, Macaroni. Appreciate you tapping in, man. I know you gotta go. Appreciate you. Hey, Threshold Moment, how you doing? I gotta translate this. It looks like Hebrew. Gotta translate this Hebrew real quick. Gotta go. All right, Macaroni. Hey, appreciate you tapping in. Arlene, hi. I'm trying to figure out what is this? Somebody highlight this for me. Can I copy this? Oh, I gotta copy the whole thing. All right, let me copy this and move it to my Google Translate. Got some people writing in Hebrew. These are intelligence officials from around the world. Dari Hussein Ali Hussein Mufat. What? Okay. Somebody shared that. I mean, that's dope. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to Jared Moscow's video. That I just pulled up on my other screen. You're gonna go through this. He's talking about Alcatraz.
From the great state of Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I begin, I have a unanimous consent request.
Without objection.
I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article by Emma Bucher titled Doge Musk Oversight of Federal Workforce Causing Frustration for FCI Thompson Staff.
Without objection.
I have another unanimous consent request.
Without objection.
You want me to read it, or?
Not really, but go ahead.
Can I text it to you later, or? All right, so unanimous consent requests, obviously. I'll give them to you, Mr. Chairman. I'll skip that. All right, let's begin on my time. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, you know, I appreciate this hearing, and it's always a pleasure to go after Chairman Jordan. And, you know, I've been listening to my colleagues talking about investment, personnel shortages. And, of course, we're talking about that in a time where Doge has its fingerprints over all the agencies, including your own. So at a time where we're talking about personnel shortages, we're actually firing people. We're convincing them to leave. We're retiring them, right? And don't get me wrong, like, you guys need more resources, right? You need more people. You got crumbling infrastructure, right? We need to be tough on crime, tough on criminals. I get all that. Right. And there's definitely need to be serious reforms, right? This is a serious conversation. But, you know, earlier I was listening to the ranking member, and she brought up something about Trump talking about Alcatraz. And of course, look, this is just another distraction to divert attention away from the tariffs or rising prices or the struggle on Main Street. But since we're having a hearing on prisons, it's lucky timing for me. So, 3 times more expensive than any prison to operate in 1959, Alcatraz was. Okay, it needs about $250 million to shore up the facility is almost 100 years old. And so I don't get it. In the days of Doge, where we're cutting budgets, we got to find savings. Now we're going to what? We're going to cut Medicaid and SNAP so that we can pour money into Alcatraz. First of all, have you been to Alcatraz recently? It literally is it's a rust.
Yeah, I have. I've been to Alcatraz recently, Congressman. It's called Rebirth Island. I've been there. Me and 3 of my homies made it through. Guess what? We ran down on somebody right outside the prison yard. We sniped them from the water tower, right? I have been to Alcatraz. It doesn't seem as bad as you're trying to make it seem, my brother. Now, I understand. You may not have time to visit Rebirth Island like the rest of us. But I'm telling you, It's not as bad as you're making it seem, Congressman. Let's get back to the show.
Tetanus shots or his RFK?
It's called a stem. It's called a stem. You shoot the stem in so that if you're getting shot at by the guards or other people in the prison on Rebirth Island, Alcatraz, that you can revive, or you put a plate in and you hit the stem, Congressman. What are we talking about, man? Come on, man. Get Moskowitz on the game, man.
Gotten rid of those. I can't keep up. And so, listen, where did the president get this idea all of a sudden?
Call of Duty.
Right? Where did he get the idea?
Call of Duty, man.
Perhaps he was watching Escape from Alcatraz, right? And I brought boards because some people are visual learners. Perhaps he was watching Escape from Alcatraz by Clint Eastwood. Actually, funny part about that, it was actually on television in South Florida. It was on PBS South Florida over the weekend when Trump was at Mar-a-Lago. In fact, he made his announcement just hours after it aired. You know PBS, the programming that he's trying to get rid of, so just in case you're keeping up, right? It's 2 dolls for girls and 0 Elmos, okay? But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it wasn't that. Maybe he was watching The Rock with Sean Connery.
That's not it either. Moskowitz. If you don't pick up the PlayStation, the Xbox, or even the PC controller and get on the game, man, I'm going to take it to Alcatraz whenever. Anytime you're ready. We're going to Alcatraz, man. Rebirth Island, baby.
You know this.
Somebody tell the congressman to call me.
Sean Connery goes
Hey, Doug,
back
man, tell your man to call me, man.
Because he originally escaped Alcatraz and needed
Robert, how you doing?
On chemical weapons. Maybe the president was just Netflixing and chilling, like watching The Rock, which is not to be confused with The Rock, right? That's a different person. And then the president's really excited about these sharks, right? He's talking about the sharks and the person escaped. He lost his clothing. So, sharks, they don't have laser beams on. They don't have laser beams, but maybe the sharks are going to be there. So this is just all ridiculous. But then all of a sudden after that, we heard we're going to tariff the movies. Well, hold on a second. Why would we tariff the movies? This is where the president is getting his ideas from. We can't tariff the policy idea making of the president.
That's not what it is, Mosk. Barron was playing COD at Mar-a-Lago. They probably had a tournament. Resurgence. Rebirth Island. They got tired of playing for dance. And said, you know what? This is what it is. And then Trump walked in and said, hey, Barron, what are you doing? Me and the boys running. Me, Aiden Ross, and the boys were on COD, Rebirth Island. It's the old Alcatraz. He's like, what? And they went through. And Trump watched Barron with the shits. Get his shit off. Nobody knew it was Barron. Sweaty lobbies. And then Trump said, you know what? Fuck, we need to bring Alcatraz back. That's what happened, Moskowitz.
I know what my colleagues are going to say. They're going to say, Jared, just let the president cook. This is 4D chess he's playing. And I'm going to say, maybe he's just watching late night movies. Perhaps he's just watching late night movies. In fact, we're told he got this movie tariff idea from no other than John Voight, the guy who was in that great movie.
Adams, appreciate you tapping in.
You've seen that. And so this is the ridiculousness that's going on. So I want to end with this. Mr. Pearl, you run a faith-based organization, right? No? Oh, it's Mr. Wild, you run the faith-based organization. Sorry. You think it's a good idea to reopen Alcatraz? You think the faith-based community has been pounding the table to reopen Alcatraz?
No, man. The gamers want to reopen Alcatraz. Because when they go to Alcatraz, they're like, damn, I done laid everybody out in this bitch. They having flashbacks to the game on Alcatraz. Man, what are you talking about, man? That's who wants Alcatraz to open. The gamers. Barron wanted to open, man.
Prison Fellowship stance is that
what are we
prisons
talking
should
about?
be
Trump.
safe, effective, efficient, and uphold human dignity.
Okay, let me make it easier for you. All 4 of you, which one of you think we should reopen Alcatraz? Just raise your hand. Okay, so for my colleagues who sometimes, are a little slow, no one raised their hand. Okay, nobody, not a single witness. None of your witnesses here think we should reopen Alcatraz. And so, we have real problems in the prison system. It does need reform. It does need money. We can work on that together. But the president puts out Alcatraz as a distraction. Thank you.
I don't believe in that. I don't believe it's a distraction. I believe that, yes, open it. I've never been a gamer. Fool. Is it fool or F you? Either way. Cool. Appreciate your insight. I was actually trying to get my Black Ops to open and show y'all Alcatraz and show Moskowitz exactly what he don't know what he talking about. We can deploy right now. It's not going to cost me that much. Either way, let's get back to it. I got one more. The Diddy trial, ain't nothing happening, man. We got to listen. Ain't nothing happening with the Diddy trial. I'll go back to that. There's a Jasmine Crockett video I want to watch that she put out yesterday on the floor. I saw some of it. I'm gonna have y'all, go through it and we'll talk about it. I'm trying to make some content. You know how it is. Oh, she got a new one.
Ms. Crockett.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Okay, I don't really know where to begin. We've got a lot of ground to cover in about 5 minutes, so let's go.
Go ahead, sis.
I've got 3 statements that I want to know if you agree or disagree with, and I want to just go down the row. Yes or no? Does cutting pay typically assist in recruiting a workforce? Yes or no?
No.
No.
Generally, no.
No.
Thank you. It sounds like a low IQ implementation to me. So let's go to the next one. Does poor working conditions assist with recruitment? Yes or no?
No.
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 Sounds like another low IQ implementation to me. And finally, I'm going to start with Mr. Potter because I don't know how this is going to go. Does union busting help with recruitment?
No.
I know nothing about unions whatsoever. I'm sorry.
I don't know anything about unions either.
Okay.
No.
Okay, so again, another low IQ implementation. I just want to be clear that the American people should know that these are all Trump 2.0 policies. So when we say that he's failed, let me tell you, we got receipts, and those are some of the receipts. So when we start talking about this pay, I think that we've talked about the fact that there was a 25%, up to a 25% cut in recruitment bonuses or retention bonuses, but I want to make sure that people understand the numbers. I want y'all to know what the numbers are. It looks like on average in 2023, the average CO for the BOP made $57,000. So now we're talking about potentially up to a 25% cut in that. Now let's transpose that with what they don't want to talk about is what we did last week, which was reconciliation, where in their bill, they decided that they wanted to add this big number as an increase for bonuses for ICE agents. What that translated to was bonuses of approximately $44,000 for each ICE agent. So we're talking about ICE agents getting an additional $44,000 per person, while on average, when we talk about our COs at the BOP only making $57,000.
I ain't gonna hold you. I'm not gonna hold you 1 second. Sign me up to be an ICE agent if that's the case. $44,000 pay increase from wherever I'm at. I don't have to be in the field. I can listen to phone calls, transcript. I could go play video games with these guys. Hey, where you at? You in Orlando? You live close to Disney? Damn, I'm right up here in Tallahassee. Man, we should do a link up, man. What we talking about, ICE? Let me know where I have to submit my application. Because if they paying $44,000 more to the person, I don't care. Get them out. Deport them. Right? Deport them. I tell you, deport them. That's what I'm talking about. $44,000?
And talking about cutting up to 25% of that.
Do you know that $44,000 is $3,000 more than the living wage Bernie Sanders and AOC talk about? Bet you didn't know that. Because if you made $20 an hour, work 40 hours a week, 52 weeks, you probably make $41,000 a year. So that $44,000 increase, hello somebody, is more than the living wage that Bernie Sanders and AOC want you to know about. Because they want you to have a living wage that don't put a number on it, baby. Quick sidebar, let's get back to it.
That is why we're outraged. That is why we say that this is a joke, because you can't sit here and continuously underfund an agency and then expect it to overperform. So let's talk about the underfunding. We have talked about immigration for a reason, not because we think that it makes sense to just talk about immigration all day, every day. It seems like our colleagues on the other side of the aisle want to do it, but it is relevant to this conversation. You know why? Because according to this particular document from The Guardian, it says, as it relates to a partnership between BOP and ICE, two agencies that have generally operated separately, means people accused of civil immigration violations are being imprisoned in harsh environments of the federal penitentiaries run by prison guards. Right now, I believe that the number was the most recent.
Hey, don't pause that. George, you're hilarious. We will bring them to your front door for that $44,000. What are we talking about, man? Let somebody offer you a $44,000 pay increase or a $44,000 job right now. You not gonna move? Come on, Congressman. Let's be for real, man.
Was that they had approximately 700 persons that were being held for ICE within the Bureau of Prisons. And guess what? Do you think they gave the BOP any extra dollars to be able to take care of those folks? They didn't. I'll help you.
That is true, because you'll end up getting to this transfer of funds between federal prison, state prison, and when they're moving these people, who's responsible for it, and then somebody ends up footing the bill, right? And sometimes those state agencies, those state Department of Corrections that holding these immigrants, listen, hey, y'all supposed to reimburse. Y'all know government pay flow. We already talked about it earlier on the stream. 60 days, 90 days, 180 days. We never got the money back. Well, shit, we moved on to the next budget, man. Well, we got to count that L for what it is. Chop it up.
It says Congress provided no increase to the BOP's salaries and expenses account in fiscal year 2024, despite the staffing crisis that has been linked to prisoner deaths and a cascade of operational problems at the agency. So, we talked about rape. So let me get to rape. It seems like it's a bit of hypocrisy, but that's not anything new, to say that you want to protect victims of rape and sexual assault and then allow Trump to gut funding for the Prison Rape Elimination Act Resource Center, a center that trains prison sexual assault auditors, tracks the results of the Prison Rape Elimination Act investigations, and provides resources to imprisoned sexual abuse survivors. So my question is, and I ask everyone if you can answer, can we all agree that rape and assault of prisoners is vile and completely unacceptable?
I gotta stop there, y'all, because yes, we can agree on that, right? But the relation between the auditors and the question, it's not a reach, it's not a stretch, it's just like, how you want me to answer this? How you want me to answer it, right? It's not a gotcha question, chat. It could be a gotcha question. It's like, you know there's no right answer for this. Both sides of the aisle. Nobody's gonna say rape and all that shit is okay, especially in prison or whatever. Nobody's gonna say that shit. Cutting the funding, okay, cool. Let's be real. If people were still being raped in jail and the auditors were there and it was still happening at an alarming rate, maybe it deserved to be cut because they weren't being efficient with the shit that they were doing, right? However, with, I don't know. I don't how do you even address this shit? I like Jasmine Crockett. I love me some Jasmine Crockett. I think she's needed in the process. I just don't like that question for real. Because it's like, it's not as if you're like providing rape kits to solve the crimes. It's not like we're talking about prosecuting them. It's the auditor piece. And I got to do more research. So excuse me for not doing my research about this. I didn't know she was going to go there. But come on, man.
I agree.
I agree.
Of course.
Thank you so much. And the last thing that I'll say is that according to the BOP, there have been a total of 2 individuals that have received gender-affirming surgery while in BOP custody. There have been a total of 4 that were referred, 4 others that were referred and were determined to be medically ineligible. So we're gonna have all this talk and all these fights about trans folk, and we're talking about literally 2 surgeries. I'll yield.
And I think that's another issue that people don't realize. Even when we're talking about transports, it's not 10,000. It may be 50 to 100, right? Trans prisoners, trans in the army, trans community as a whole. They're a smaller population that we care so much about. Democrats, right? That's why they don't understand the priority of why you're trying to force all this. And I get the part of that. It's like the gender affirming care in prison does increase the costs to the taxpayers. To the taxpayers, since you're in prison, we got to provide your food, your housing, everything else. Should they provide for your gender affirming care too? Same in the military, right? Some people may not want their tax dollars going towards that. Some people will say, yes, you know what they need is health care. It's health care for them. I get the argument. I'm not downplaying the argument, but I'm really trying to sit here and out of this entire situation. I'm sure I have 5 minutes to ask the questions and get answers out. But the ICE bonuses, the defunding, and
State of California. Mr. Speaker, I rise today with a simple but clear message. First of all, I just got to clear up a few things. Instead of the president cosplaying as the next pope, he may want to try to cosplay as an actual president of these United States. That means that he may have to do a little bit of research and decide that he wants to understand that he swore an oath. And this oath was to protect and defend the Constitution. That is the oath that he was supposedly taking on January 20th, as well as we may want the president to look into what the Declaration of Independence was about. We may want him to understand that there was a foundational document as relates to self-determination of those who had recently gained their independence from Great Britain. I would hope that he would maybe spend a few of these days in this first 100 days, and it is sad to say that it's his second term, that he doesn't understand that the Declaration of Independence is about this idea that we are entitled to the right of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that's all of us that are here. But let's go through some of the things that he did manage to do and some of the havoc that he has managed to wreak. In the first 100 days of Trump administration, we have had to, unfortunately, endure a lot of pain. This administration clearly is not ready to lead. They are only here to tear down. In just 100 days, we've witnessed an administration hell-bent on dismantling the very systems designed to protect the most vulnerable amongst us. And for Black Americans, those of us who have always carried the weight of a broken system and bad policies, the danger is real, it's tangible, and it is urgent. Let me be clear, the last 100 days have not been an accident or a fluke. He has done exactly what he said he was going to do. He gave us the blueprint in Project 2025. Some tried to warn us of the dangers, and well, here we are. Let's talk about education. Within weeks of taking office, the Department of Education quietly rescinded guidance encouraging schools to teach honest, inclusive Black history. Instead, they're attempting to whitewash history and have begun promoting so-called patriotic education, a sanitized version of history that skips over slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, and systemic racism. He signed an executive order reinstating, quote, common sense discipline practices in school, rolling back previous administrations' attempts to address racial disparities in school discipline practices. Make no mistake, these decisions have a direct impact on Black children, children who deserve a fair shot to learn in safe and supportive environments. Let's talk about housing. HUD announced plans to gut fair housing rules meant to fight discrimination. You know, the same ones that he violated back when he was a landlord so many years ago. Yeah, those same rules that were supposed to fight discrimination in lending and zoning. This means there will be even more roadblocks for Black families trying to buy a home and yet another generation locked out of building wealth. Let's talk about public safety. While they're cutting after-school programs and community violence prevention, they are pouring millions of dollars into militarizing police departments. They're criminalizing our communities while stripping away the very resources that keep us safe. And finally, money talks. So let's talk money. This administration slashed funding of 7 government agencies that provide Black communities with educational materials and economic opportunities, including the Minority Business Development Agency, the only federal agency dedicated to uplifting minority businesses. This agency helps entrepreneurs all across the country, including in my own district, keep their doors open and their workers employed. Now, it's under attack. And while all of this is happening, they're dismantling environmental protections and environmental justice, slashing funding for HBCUs, and rolling back civil rights enforcement across federal agencies. Let me repeat what that means. To roll back civil rights enforcement across federal agencies. This is the so-called DEI attacks that we continue to endure in this country.
This is for a second, because I know that this is an all right speech. It wasn't great. Same old to me. You know, just like a speech to make a speech so people back home can hopefully see. I'm not with that. We're going to go to the State Department real quick. The State Department's live.
Are not segmented out so that the interests of the embassy, very, very much like the interests of our foreign aid and other actions, can work together in the Bureau as one entity. And that was the intention of that. And again, it was established in the first term. And now this is just being restored.
Switch over to PBS news. They have a better stream.
But to the mediators, any
No, I
plan,
can't. Yeah, I can't speak to what sources might say or to speculate or what might or might not still be negotiated. What I do like is the fact that there are a few things that might be the big good news coming up. Now, won't that be nice? So this is something that, what is this? So it's Tuesday, so we have a few days left to go.
If you just tapped into the stream, this is the State Department addressing the Carney meeting along with Israel and Gaza. Should be getting an update on that from here. And then most likely, I'm going to tap out of this stream, y'all. So let's tap in here. I got to eat. I haven't ate yet. And for some reason, I just keep having streams and not having lunch.
You ended the waiver that allowed Iraq to import electricity from Iran. But Iran continues.
And real quick, asking a question. Everybody on Rumble, go ahead and like and subscribe to your boy's channel. It's my first time streaming on Rumble. I'm also live on TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube. But I want to give Rumble a shot. So I appreciate everybody who tapped in on Rumble. I've seen about 8 or 9 people on the stream earlier there. We've had about 50 to 80 people, almost 20,000 people come through YouTube today. But either way, appreciate y'all tapping in. Let's get back to the State Department.
Increasing imports from other neighboring countries. Some of these efforts are directly benefiting U.S. companies, including the recent signing of memorandums of understanding with UGT Renewables and GE Vernova. And of course, we continue to support all of all of the Iraqis' efforts to end their energy reliance on Iran. All right, yes, sir.
Yes, hi. Thanks, Tony. U.S. Special Envoy for Africa, Massad Boulos, said yesterday on X that the DRC and Rwanda had submitted draft proposals ahead of a peace plan.
Yes, you need education. Eric Powell, I agree with you. He makes history. Trump should be in prison on death row. The real El Diablo. Y'all are wild in these
comments. They had agreed out on a calendar, and that there would be a meeting of the foreign ministers end of May or mid-May in Washington, and then a final, hopefully, peace agreement in June in Washington. Can you confirm any of those?
Well, what I can confirm is this. Of course, the important historic meeting that Secretary Rubio established that happened on April 25th with the foreign ministers of the DRC and Rwanda occurred, of course, and at this meeting, both sides committed to reaching a resolution. This is a decades-old conflict. And they signed a declaration of principles. The date involved in that was May 2nd, which was a date for them to make additional outlines of what it was they were going to do to reach that principle and that goal of ending that conflict. So that was outlined in the Declaration of Principles. Both of them, in fact, by that date, submitted the inputs, their ideas for a draft peace agreement and a roadmap for peace.
Emails.
It's
When
we think about the remarkable establishment of this, some conflicts that are so old or not as looked at as much as others that are in the world, we are working on all of them, and this was a tremendous achievement. So both did meet that deadline. We welcome, of course, those details and recognize this is an important step toward fulfilling the commitments made in that Declaration of Principles, and we are going to build on the momentum.
Today, y'all, I have to eat. I am hungry, right? But it's been a great day. What I want to do is ask you all to go ahead and subscribe to your boy's channel, man. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitch, if you're on TikTok or Rumble, make sure you like and subscribe. I most likely will be streaming tomorrow around the same time, 11:30 to 12. I'm trying to put a schedule out there. So if we can at least lock down between that 11:30 to 2 every day, live streaming the news. I'm actually trying to do a live stream where I'm going through the policies and stuff, but then I'm also a gamer, and I'm trying to build out my gaming channel. Lobbyist Gamer is my channel there as well. Playing a little FIFA, a little Call of Duty. We're going to be on Alcatraz tonight. But either way, I appreciate y'all tapping in. We did start with the Trump press conference. I'll give my thoughts on that before, we wrap up here. But I really felt that Trump took that entire press conference over. Canada's not for sale. I think that'll be in the headlines. I haven't checked Twitter or social media from that. We'll see what Twitter says. But to me, I think that Trump took it over. There really wasn't a point for the prime minister to come. And at this point, any other world leader that's coming to the White House should know that it has nothing to do with you at this point. It has everything to do with the United States, everything to do with how you're going to respond to the tariffs. And if you wish that you could upstage Zelensky and come embarrass me in front of me and my cabinet and my squad, you got another thing coming for you. But either way, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I am your boy, the Hip Hop Lobbyist. Again, if it's your first time here, I appreciate you tapping in. We've been here for almost 2 hours. I'm going to have like a subathon. We're going to do like 8 hours one day. From after I drop my son off at daycare at 9:30 in the morning, we're going to go all the way till I pick him up at 4 o'clock. But until then, we'll do this like mid-afternoon. Make sure, if anything, make sure you like and subscribe so you get a notification when I go live. We started off at roughly 600 subscribers, 680 before we started the stream. I hope that we at least hit 700 before the stream is over. One of y'all, if I could just get 2 of y'all touch and agree and subscribe to your boy's page, I appreciate that. But either way, I'm the Hip Hop Lobbyist. Same time tomorrow. Y'all be safe. Have a great day. And I appreciate y'all growing with me as we try to build out this show and this channel, man. Y'all have a great one.